Chapter 51. Ye Wuwei narrowed his eyes slightly and slowly turned his head to look at Li Rumen. This woman is like a clown, completely in need of S***X. The atmosphere that was originally quite romantic changed because of her few words. This look without any emotion scared Li Rumen's heart so much that he felt like he was falling into the abyss. Li Rumen took a step back in fear and hid behind Wei Dong. Wei Dong puffed up his chest, wanting to show off his majesty as a man. But facing Ye Wuwei's indifferent eyes, he felt an inexplicable tingling sensation in his nerves. He had a strong feeling that if he dared to say one more word, Ye Wuwei would take action without hesitation. When the time comes, whether he will be alive or not is a matter of two opinions. Wei Dong's raised chest slowly shrank, and he said nervously, "Let's go." After saying that, Wei Dong quickly pulled Li Rumen towards the sports car not far away. Seeing these two flies, they were scared away by Ye Wuwei's look. Li Qingyan raised the corners of her mouth slightly, and looked at Ye Wuwei with admiration shining in her eyes. So handsome. She took the necklace with a happy face, feeling excited, but she forced herself to calm down and said with a sweet smile, "Thank you, I like it very much." Seeing the happy smile on Li Qingyan's face, Ye Wuwei was in a good mood. All the dangers and sacrifices I have experienced over the years have answers. Her safety and happiness are his lifelong pursuit. No one can empathize with him. When he is full of disappointment in the world and has the deepest malice towards the world, how precious is that ray of light that breaks through the darkness. Light smoke. You are so beautiful. Oh, why are you talking about this? They are still here. I love you. I love you too. Ye Wuwei looked at Li Qingyan's beautiful face, his heart pounding. Her smiles, her emotions, whatever her expressions, whatever her movements, are all so cute and beautiful. Although Ye Lu and Lu Yuehua were still nearby, Ye Wuwei didn't care at all. Love must be spoken loudly. No one can be in touch with each other, so let the person you love feel his love directly. With the height he has reached now, everything he says and does follows his heart, and he doesn't care too much about what others think. Cough. Why are my shoelaces loose? Lu Yuehua had a weird smile on her lips, her eyes narrowed into slits, and she slowly squatted down. It's good to be young. Wuwei looks quite serious, but I didn't expect there to be so many tricks. If nothing else, I should get a kiss soon. Ye Lu turned his head and looked up at the sky at a 45-degree angle, looking into the distance. Looks very calm and calm. However, there were already 10,000 elephants running through him in his heart, and he was not as calm as he appeared on the surface. Damn it! Damn it! The boss is not only unparalleled in martial arts, he is also so good at chasing his sister-in-law. Judging from my sister-in-law's expression, she was probably extremely happy. If she could secretly learn this trick, Xiaju would be unable to fly. The process seems to be to call your name gently first, then "you are so beautiful," and then "I love you." I learned it. Ye Lu felt that he was terrifyingly strong now. Li Qingyan saw the performance of Lu Yuehua and Ye Lu. Her face was flushed with embarrassment, shy and sweet. Li Qingyan's eyes quickly swept to the left and right, and when she saw that neither Ye Lu nor her mother looked at her, she breathed a sigh of relief. She first rolled her eyes at Ye Wuwei angrily, then took a step forward, stood on tiptoes, raised her head slightly, and took the initiative to kiss Ye Wuwei. Looking at the fragrant kiss and smelling the fragrant wind, Ye Wuwei suddenly felt relaxed and happy. Both the lips parted as soon as they touched. Although it was just a simple kiss, it filled the hearts of Ye Wuwei and Li Qingyan with spring breeze and warm sunshine. Ye Wuwei took the beauty's hand, interlocking their fingers like a young couple falling in love, and said with a smile, "Let's go see the new house." Li Qingyan nodded sweetly, "Okay." This feeling of falling in love made up for a feeling she was missing. At this moment, Li Qingyan felt that she was the happiest person in the world. The sun is just right today, the wind is so gentle, and the air is full of sweet smell. After hearing Ye Wuwei's words, Ye Lu recovered his thoughts and walked quickly towards the off-road vehicle parked not far away. After walking a few steps forward, Li Qingyan didn't hear the footsteps behind her. When she looked back, she found that Lu Yuehua was tying his shoelaces in a hurry. "Mom, let's go." Okay, right away." Lu Yuehua just took off both shoelaces in order to look more realistic. She didn't expect Ye Wuwei and Li Qingyan to end it so quickly, so she seemed a little busy at the moment. Afterwards, the four of them got into the car and drove towards the highest point of Thang Long City. In a sports car behind Li Rumen and Wei Dong saw the whole process of the sweet scene just now. Humph, you brainless woman, you have a love brain. Li Rumen snorted sourly and said, follow me quickly, I don't believe Ye Wuwei can really afford the Dragon Palace. Li Rumen felt very sad. Because she and Wei Dong were engaged, not because of love. What Wei Dong was interested in was her body and her cooperation in certain aspects. What she was interested in was Wei Dong's family background. Wei Dong kicked the accelerator and asked, what is the origin of Ye Wuwei? Li Rumen crossed his arms and said solemnly, I heard that he was a big-headed soldier before. After retiring from the army, I went abroad to start a business. Maybe it was some bad luck and I met some pretty awesome people. I think the people around Ye Wuwei are not good people. They are probably doing murder and arson abroad. If we can catch any evidence, report him directly to the War Department. Then he will be unable to escape. Wei Dong nodded, slammed the accelerator and quickly followed. After causing the Wei family to suffer such a big setback, he wanted to have some fun with Ye Wuwei. After chasing for a distance and turning a corner, Wei Dong and Li Rumen's hearts suddenly jumped. Because the off-road vehicle in which Ye Wuwei and others were sitting was parked on the roadside. Ye Lu rolled down the car window and looked at them coldly. Li Rumen clenched her fists and said nervously, drive forward slowly. When the car came to the side of the off-road vehicle, Li Rumen asked nervously, what are we doing? We also live in Thang City, you don't think we are following you? Someone just said that the new house they bought is at number 1 Shenglong Road. We just want to go to the top of the mountain to enjoy the breeze. Do you have the courage to go and have a look? Hearing this, Ye Liu's lips curved into a disdainful smile. Just a villa. Even buying the entire Shenglong City is a very simple matter for Zushan Temple. Walk. Ye Wuwei's voice sounded. These two clowns, if you say anything to them, you will give them face. Boom boom boom. The off-road vehicle's engine roared as it drove along the winding mountain road to the highest point of Thang City. The highest point of Thang City. The entire top of Shenglong Mountain was cut off, leaving a large piece of flat land. Except for a small area of the viewing platform that is a public facility, the rest of the area belongs to the Dragon Palace. At this time, outside the majestic main gate of Dragon Palace, a group of staff in suits and leather shoes have been waiting for a long time. Wei Dong and Li Rumen came to the viewing platform and were shocked when they saw Ye Wuwei and his party walking towards the Dragon Palace. Why are there so many staff waiting here? Did he really buy the Dragon Palace? In Li Rumen's disbelieving eyes, all the staff in suits and ties bowed respectfully towards Ye Wuwei and Li Qingyan and said loudly, welcome home. This loud shout was like a thunderbolt hitting Li Rumen and Wei Dong. How is it possible? Even the Wei family, a second-rate family in Dragon City, can't afford to live in the Dragon Palace. Li Rumen looked at Li Qingyan's back with envy and hatred, with only 3 words in his mind, why? Chapter 52. Dragon Palace is very grand. Very luxurious. On the outermost side is a row of fountains. Next to the fountain is a green belt filled with flowers. The green belt is very wide, widening the distance from the observation deck. Then comes the majestic main entrance of the Dragon Palace. The main gate is made of white marble and carved with complex textures. There are 2 huge gardens on both sides of the gate, dotted with various exotic flowers and plants, and various landscape trees standing like sentinels on both sides of the gate. Behind the gate is the living area of Dragon Palace. Open-air swimming pools, sports venues, smart entertainment rooms, etc. are all available. Dragon Palace is a place that countless people in Dragon City can only look up to. Once upon a time, only the Zhao family had the ability to take over the Dragon Palace. However, the Zhao family occupies an old palace, and the Zhao family has too many people, so they did not live in the Dragon Palace. Li Rumen never expected that even though she tried so hard to get engaged to the Wei family, she could only live on the 2nd floor of Shenglong City. However, Li Qingyan can now live in the Dragon Palace. Why? What on earth is this Ye Wuwei doing abroad? How rich is he? Over the years, Li Rumen has always wanted to compete with Li Qingyan. But now people can live in the Dragon Palace without any effort. The tit-for-tat confrontation over the years seems to have become a joke. Looking at Li Qingyan's back, Li Rumen's eyes turned red with jealousy. She gritted her teeth and said bitterly, we'll see. No matter how rich Ye Wuwei is or who he knows in Zhangzhou, he can't save the Li family. A strong dragon will not overwhelm a local snake. What's more, the Kui family in the divine capital is still a more terrifying existence than the Zhao family, the former powerful family in Zhangzhou. Now that the Wei family has the support of the Kui family in the divine capital, Fei Yang group is besieged on all sides. As for the Li family, destroy it. Li Rumen felt a little better when he thought that the Li family was about to be destroyed in the hands of Li Qingyan, and that Li Qingyan was about to become the sinner of the Li family. I originally wanted to come over to watch a joke, but ended up feeling extremely jealous. Li Rumen and Wei Dong left without saying a word. The gate of Dragon Palace. Looking at these respectful staff members, Li Qingyan and Lu Yuehua were extremely shocked. When Ye Wuwei mentioned number 1 Shenglong City before, they didn't realize that Ye Wuwei was talking about Dragon Palace. Later, Li Rumen interrupted and forgot about this incident. Now looking at these respectful staff and the majestic Dragon Palace gate, Li Qingyan and Lu Yuehua's minds were feeling dizzy. Qingyan, pinch me and see if I'm dreaming. Oh, good. Both mother and daughter felt that all this was unreal. Oh, damn girl, why are you using so much force? The stinging pain on her arm made Lu Yuehua wake up suddenly. She stepped forward quickly and walked up to the leader, a woman in her 30s who was elegantly dressed in a decent suit. She said cautiously, "You didn't recognize the wrong person, did you?" The woman smiled slightly, "We may recognize the wrong person, but we will never recognize the key around Miss Li's neck." After saying that, the woman looked at Ye Wuwei and said with a smile, "You must be Mr. Ye. I am your exclusive butler, Wen Ye. My team and I will create the most comfortable living environment for you and Ms. Li. If you have any requests, just ask." It was Yeju who came forward to buy the Dragon Palace. Wen Ye only knew that the male owner of Dragon Palace was named Ye and the female owner was named Li. The key is on Li Qingyan's neck, and Ye Wuwei and Li Qingyan's fingers are intertwined, their identities are self-evident. Ye Wuwei nodded, "If there is any process, start it as soon as possible. Nian is still in the hospital, and Ye Wuwei doesn't want to waste too much time here." Wen Ye showed a professional smile and nodded, "Miss Li, please follow me." After saying that, she leaned her upper body slightly on one side, put one hand on her abdomen, and made a gesture of invitation with the other hand, full of ritual feeling. Ye Wuwei smiled slightly at Li Qingyan and motioned the latter to go quickly. Li Qingyan tried her best to calm down her mood and strode forward. Under Wen Ye's guidance, Li Qingyan came to the door and inserted the small key into a keyhole on the door. Buzz buzz, a camera popped up on the door and quickly scanned Li Qingyan's facial features. A mechanical voice sounded, "Facial entry is complete, welcome the owner home." Wen Ye smiled and said, "Miss Li, you can snap your fingers or wave your hand." Hearing this, Li Qingyan tentatively snapped her fingers. Clatter. Then, the tall and heavy metal gate slowly moved to both sides. The mysterious and luxurious Dragon Palace was slowly revealed in front of Li Qingyan. A wide lawn, a huge open-air swimming pool, an almost endless row of parasols, a splendid residence, a view of the skyline at a glance. Everything was impacting Li Qingyan's mind. This is a gift from him. Give her a home. While Lu Yuehua let out an exclamation, first carefully crossed the gate, and then rushed in excitedly, touching the tall street lamps and looking at the leafy fruit trees, as if Grandma Lu had entered the Grand View Garden. No matter what she touched, she would finally take a breath and wipe it again for fear of getting it dirty. Lu Yuehua's nose felt sore and tears welled up in her eyes. This is fearless gift to my daughter. All these years of waiting have not been in vain. Outside the gate, Ye Wuwei looked at Ye Lu and said, "Go in and check it out first." Ye Lu nodded and quickly entered the Dragon Palace. This has been a professional habit over the years. When arriving in a strange place, first check whether there are any safety hazards. Li Qingyan looked at Wen Ye and said, "You guys can go in too." Wen Ye bent down slightly, and then led his men into the Dragon Palace. Although there is constant maintenance on the outside of the house, the inside of the house still needs some careful cleaning. Ye Wuwei walked up to Li Qingyan, put his arms around the beauty's slender waist, and said softly, "From now on, this is our home." Yet, Li Qingyan gently leaned her head on Ye Wuwei's chest. Her heart had never been so peaceful. The two of them nestled under the gate, quietly looking at the huge Dragon Palace, recalling the great and heavy word home in their minds. Ye Wuwei had mixed feelings in his heart. Scenes from the past kept coming to mind. When he was young, he was abandoned by his biological parents on the roadside. He was later picked up by Uncle Feng and entered the Ye family in the imperial capital, where he was named Ye Fan. The adoptive mother cannot bear children and treats her as her own child. But within a few years, the adoptive mother died of illness, and the adoptive father remarried. Her stepmother regarded her as a thorn in her side, ostracized and abused her at every turn, and she suffered for more than 10 years. When he was young, he showed extraordinary talent in martial arts, but his stepmother did not tolerate him. He was deprived of his cultivation and was designed to be expelled from the Ye family. He fled to the capital city and changed his name to Ye Fan. Overcome all difficulties and rebuild martial arts. Martial arts is too expensive to build your own business group. As soon as he emerged, he was stabbed in the back by his brothers who worked together, seriously injured and fled to Zhongcheng. It was that time that he was rescued by Li Qingyan. At first, Ye Wuwei had no nostalgia for this world. The world is good, but it has no place of its own. Just one death. Never want to come again. Until I was moved by Li Qingyan's optimism and kindness. Love blows with the wind. There are some expectations for the future. Then he was reborn. Experience the changes of fish and dragon. When Li Qingyan asked him his name, Ye Wuwei forgot the 2 previous names and renamed himself, Ye Wuwei. For her, he will be fearless. Now. Finally got together with this kind girl. We have a common home. Chapter 53. After taking over the house, Ye Wuwei and others left the Dragon Palace. On the way from Dragon Palace to Longcheng First Hospital, Lu Yuehua and Li Qingyan sat on the left and right of Ye Wuwei, asking about the origin of the money. After experiencing the initial excitement, the mother and daughter came back to their senses. The price of Dragon Palace is astronomical. Where did Ye Wuwei get so much money? Even if we rob, we won't be able to rob so much in just a few years. They didn't know that Ye Wuwei couldn't grab it so quickly if he went to grab it alone. But with tens of thousands of people robbing on a large scale, the effect will naturally be different. Wuwei, tell me honestly, where did all this money come from? If you don't make it clear, although the Dragon Palace is very good, it will not be safe to live in. Lu Yuehua looked at Ye Wuwei solemnly, very nervous. Li Qingyan nodded, yes. How did you earn all this money? If there is really a problem with the origin, let's not spend it frivolously. If something happens, we still have to pay the money back. Faced with the questioning from the mother and daughter, Ye Wuwei felt dizzy. If they were told that this was the result of the annihilation of underground forces, and that many people died, they would probably not go there. After thinking for a while, Ye Wuwei said slowly, in addition to serious business, I did also do some less serious business. As soon as these words came out, the mother and daughter's hearts suddenly lifted. What kind of unfair business? Lu Yuehua asked in a sharp voice, her voice trembling. Ye Wuwei, sell arms. Selling arms is indeed one of the many industries of the Temple of Punishment. The Zushan Temple itself has a huge demand for arms. After taking over some arms factories from underground forces, it can also make a fortune by reselling them. Selling arms is a great product and should be acceptable to the mother and daughter. Ah! Li Qingyan and Lu Yuehua exclaimed at the same time. Isn't that illegal? It's illegal in Daxia, but it doesn't count outside. There is no order in many places outside the territory, so it doesn't count as illegal. Have you ever been in danger? There are definitely dangers, but they have been turned around. I don't believe it. As he spoke, Li Qingyan reached out to grab Ye Wuwei's collar and unbuttoned his buttons. Qingyan, it's too fast, I'm not ready yet. Ye Wuwei knew that Li Qingyan wanted to see if he had any injuries, so he deliberately changed the subject. He originally thought that Li Qingyan would look blushing and give up on examining his injuries. However, the more he said this, the more suspicious Li Qingyan became. Li Qingyan pursed her lips tightly, without saying a word, and forcibly unbuttoned her buttons. When she opened Ye Wuwei's clothes, she was stunned. How many times have we had to escape from death with these wounds, big and small? Li Qingyan's lips trembled, she gently touched the scars and said in a trembling voice, Does it hurt, does it hurt? Ye Wuwei shook his head and said nonchalantly, It doesn't hurt, it's already gone. Don't worry, with my physique, these scars will become smaller and smaller, and will disappear completely in the end. As soon as he finished speaking, tears fell down Li Qingyan's face. She lay on Ye Wuwei's chest, her shoulders shaking, and cried bitterly. Lu Yuehua turned her head to the car window and kept wiping tears. That's money you get for putting your head in your belt and risking your life. Seeing this, Ye Wuwei felt helpless and could only pat Li Qingyan on the back and comfort him softly. The main mission of slaying the temple and the life and death dangers I have experienced, let alone tell them. After a long time, Li Qingyan raised her head, looked at Ye, and choked with sobs. Ye, turn around and go back and evacuate the house. Ah! Ye, who was driving, was surprised and whispered, Sister-in-law, no need. Boss makes money just to give you flowers. As soon as these words came out, Li Qingyan cried even more sadly. Ye Wuwei glared at Ye and said softly, we can't retreat, that's our home. I will try my best not to leave Daxia or go outside the territory from now on. Speaking of this, Ye Wuwei tried to change the topic, if I don't go out from now on, I'll have to rely on you to support me. Li Qingyan stubbornly wiped away her tears and said in a tearful voice, I will support you from now on. Dragon Palace is too expensive. It's all your hard-earned money, and I'm not used to living in such a big house. I'll give it back and buy a cheaper one. Ye Wuwei shook his head firmly, no, I just want to give you the best. Looking at Ye Wuwei's firm eyes, Li Qingyan's soft heart seemed to be struck by lightning. She no longer cared about Lu Yuehua and sat next to him, taking the initiative to kiss him. After Ye Wuwei's persuasion, Li Qingyan gave up the idea of getting rid of the Dragon Palace. At the same time, the thought of raising Ye Wuwei and supporting the family was rising in her heart. In her opinion, as long as she makes enough money with the help of the Li group, Ye Wuwei will not have to go outside the region to live. After this incident, Li Qingyan's ambition was stronger than ever. Therefore, after returning to Longcheng No. 1 hospital to see Nian, Li Qingyan didn't rest and rushed to the Li group without stopping. She wants to completely take over the Li group as quickly as possible and flex her muscles in the business world. After Li Qingyan arrived at the Li group, several talkative people from the Li family were already waiting for her. After the reports from these people, Li Qingyan was one big head and two big boys. As Li Rumen said before, taking over the Li group only took over a lot of big troubles. The group of senior executives of the Li family, headed by Li Tianming, had already made the Li group's economy riddled with holes. What's more, now that all the Li family's partners have cut off cooperation, it's even worse. The only way out is to collect several large debts owed by the Li group. At least with cash flow, the Li group can be revitalized. However, those who owe money to the Li group are like meat on a hob. He's the kind of ruthless person who cuts wires with a kitchen knife, making sparks and lightning along the way. Several of them are closely related to Wang Biao, the king of earth in Longcheng. Li Tianming had wanted it for so long and tried countless ways but couldn't get it back. The difficulty can be imagined. The name Wang Biao. Li Qingyan has lived like a thunderbolt in Zhongcheng these years. That is an existence that must not be messed with. He didn't say that he was an underground force, but the underground forces in Longcheng didn't dare to provoke him. One can imagine how terrifying his energy is in Dragon City. However, for the Li group, for this family, in order to raise Ye Wuwei, Li Qingyan had to face it. Chapter 54. North of the city. Friendship Group. The main business of Ye Group is property management. The properties of many communities in Longcheng are owned by the property management team of Ye Group. Friendship Group owes Li Group a debt of 20 million, which has been owed for several years and has not yet been repaid. This is the largest foreign debt of the Li Group. Nowadays, there is a big gap in the capital flow of Li Group. If this account can be recovered, it will be a big relief. Now, Li Qingyan took a financial director and 2 bodyguards to the gate of Friendship Group. Looking at the huge tiger statue in the lobby of the Friendship Group, Li Qingyan was a little nervous. According to executives of the Li Group, Chang Haihu, the founder of the Friendship Group, is actually the boss of the Tiger Gang, a famous underground force in Longcheng. The Friendship Group is just a sheepskin worn by the Tiger Gang. The property team under the Friendship Group are basically members of the Tiger Gang. It is not uncommon for owners to have conflicts with Friendship Property Management and then be beaten by property management personnel. There were also owners who wanted to join forces and drive out Ye property together. Those owners who took the lead either received death threats or suddenly got into car accidents. Over time, no one dared to go against Ye property anymore. There are also insiders who know that the Tiger Gang is behind Ye property. But no one dared to pierce this layer of window paper. Ye property is the golden rice bowl of the Tiger Gang. He can get paid every day if he doesn't do anything, so he will never allow others to take his job away from him. Once there is any sign, the Tiger Gang will kill it with thunderous means. Call. Li Qingyan took a deep breath and said in a deep voice, "Let's go. No matter how difficult it is, you have to go in and give it a try. What if you get it back?" In order to prevent accidents, she also brought 2 bodyguards. A group of 4 people entered the lobby, and after being guided by the front desk, they arrived outside the office of the chairman of the friendship group. "Tuk tuk tuk, come in." After knocking on the door, a deep voice sounded in the office. Hearing this, Li Qingyan asked 2 bodyguards to wait outside, and then led the financial director of Li Group into the office. As soon as he entered the office, Li Qingyan saw a middle-aged man with a fierce face and a gangster look lying on an office chair. This person is the chairman of the friendship group and the leader of the Tiger Gang, Chang Haihu. Chang Haihu was lying on the office chair, with his feet on the desk and smoking a cigar leisurely. Seeing Li Qingyan come in, Chang Haihu's eyes lit up. "What a beautiful woman." Chang Haihu remained lying on his back and said with a slight smile, "Miss Li, right. What are you doing?" When Li Qingyan entered the friendship group, she had already explained her intention to the front desk. Asking this question at this time is obviously asking knowingly. Chang Haihu's arrogant attitude made Li Qingyan feel very uncomfortable. "However, I had to endure it at this moment. In this world, the boss is the one who owes money." Li Qingyan smiled and said, "Mr. Chang, my name is Li Qingyan, and I am the new chairman of the Li Group. 2 years ago, Friendship Group had a cooperation with our Li Group. You should still remember it." Chang Haihu was in no hurry to answer. He took a puff from his cigar and then blew out a smoke ring leisurely. After doing this, he nodded slowly, "Remember, it was a pleasure to work together." Li Qingyan smiled slightly. It was indeed a pleasant cooperation at that time. The only fly in the ointment is that the friendship group still has a final balance that has not been paid to us. "The final payment?" Chang Haihu looked surprised and stared. "What final payment? Why don't I remember?" Chang Haihu already looks ferocious. Even though he is now wearing a suit and dressing up like a human being, he still cannot conceal his ferocious gangster aura. At this time, he glared and immediately frightened Li Qingyan and the financial director's hearts to beat wildly. Li Qingyan forced herself to calm down and maintained a smile, saying, "Mr. Chang is a noble man who forgets things a lot. He has already forgotten this matter. I have a document here. You should have an impression after taking a look at it." After saying that, Li Qingyan glanced at the financial director. The financial director immediately stepped forward and placed a document on the desk in front of Chang Haihu. Chang Haihu glanced at the document and didn't even bother to read it. He slapped his forehead and said with a smile, "I suddenly remembered that this happened. I remember that I owed 20 million, right?" Li Qingyan nodded with a smile. The next second, Chang Haihu's expression changed and he sighed, "Miss Li, I'm in a difficult situation now and I really can't afford to pay back. You, the Li Group, have a great business, please wait a moment. When I have enough money, I will return it to you as soon as possible." Chang Haihu was not prepared to repay the 20 million at all. Hearing this, Li Qingyan's heart sank. This man is a complete scoundrel, and I'm afraid he'll end up dead. At this time, the financial director couldn't help but said, "Mr. Chang, I have seen the financial report of Ye Group. Your cash flow is very sufficient." As soon as these words came out, Chang Haihu's face instantly darkened. "Who are you? You have the right to interrupt when we are talking." He grabbed the teacup on the desk and threw it directly on the forehead of the financial director. "Ah!" The financial director screamed and squatted on the ground holding his head. Streams of blood gradually seeped out between his fingers. "Chairman, what's going on?" The 2 bodyguards outside the door heard the noise and rushed in quickly. As soon as they entered, several menacing men in black followed them. Call your mom. Who let you in? Court death." The 2 bodyguards were pushed to the ground and beaten by a strong man in black, their faces twisted in pain. Looking at the fierce-looking Chang Haihu, and then at the few strong men in black who were beating people, Li Qingyan turned pale with fear. "Stop! You are breaking the law." Despite the fear in her heart, Li Qingyan still had to stand up. Chang Haihu narrowed his eyes and waved his hand. Seeing this, several strong men in black stopped immediately. Chang Haihu said coldly, "I don't need money, but I need my life. If you have the ability, take my life away. Go quickly, I have something to do later and I don't have time to waste time with you here." After looking at several strong men in black who were eyeing him, Li Qingyan gritted her teeth, silently helped the financial director up, and walked out with the 2 bodyguards who were bruised and swollen. When I walked to the door, a charming woman dressed in a gorgeous dress walked in from the door. The woman laughed sweetly at Chang Haihu and said softly, "My dear, let's go quickly. You'll be late if you don't leave us." While speaking, the woman was also looking at Li Qingyan and the 4 of them. When she met Li Qingyan's eyes, the woman's eyes first showed confusion, and then her eyes became panicked. "Li Qingyan! White Warbler!" The 2 shouted each other's names at the same time. In Li Qingyan's impression, Bai Ying came from a rural area with poor family conditions and was a very simple person. Li Qingyan helped Bai Ying through the most difficult period when she was in college. How did she become like this now? Chang Haihu raised his eyebrows. "Do you know each other?" Bai Ying looked a little unnatural and said, "She is my college classmate and has helped me many times before." Hearing this, Chang Haihu's eyes moved, and he said with a smile, "It turns out that the flood washed away the Dragon King Temple, and one family did not recognize the other. Ms. Li, we can discuss the debt issue. We are about to go to a party organized by some of your college classmates. Since you are also college classmates, why not go together and have a good talk at the dinner table?" Hearing that there was hope for the debt, Li Qingyan felt happy. However, she always felt that the relationship between Chang Haihu and Bai Ying was not simple. After a quick weigh of the pros and cons, Li Qingyan nodded. Risks and opportunities coexist. Chapter 55. Bai Ying is from a rural area, and her family conditions are very poor. When I first went to college, my tuition fees were all financed by loans. As for living expenses, she has no money at all and can only rely on her to work part-time on weekends. Sometimes I am really short of money, so I buy a few more steamed buns in the morning and eat them all day long. One time, Li Qingyan saw Bai Ying hiding behind a big tree and eating cold steamed buns. She was choked and out of breath, so she helped buy a bottle of water. After learning through conversation that Bai Ying had no money to eat, Li Qingyan borrowed some money from Bai Ying. When she was in college, Bai Ying had no money, so she never paid it back. Later, because of Li Qingyan's unmarried pregnancy during her senior year, she went to live in Zhongcheng and lost contact with Bai Ying. Li Qingyan was curious about what happened to Bai Ying in recent years, which caused such a big change. Perhaps because of Li Qingyan's presence, Bai Ying was very silent on the way to the gathering place and didn't say a few words along the way. However, Li Qingyan still came to a conclusion from a few words. Bai Ying became a mistress. In this regard, Li Qingyan didn't know what to say for a while. She is not qualified to judge other people's lives. I just feel a little sad. With Bai Ying's appearance and diligence, she shouldn't have fallen to this level. Brilliant restaurant. This is the location of this gathering. Li Qingyan, Bai Ying, and Chang Haihu came to the lobby of Huang Restaurant. Chang Haihu saw a familiar figure on the side of the lobby and suddenly said, "You guys go up first, I'll go say hello to an old friend." Li Qingyan and Bai Ying naturally had no objection to this. Chang Haihu walked straight to the side of the lobby, with a warm smile on his face, and laughed, "Brother Baiao, why are you here too?" The person who can make Chang Haihu show such an expression is naturally extraordinary. This person is none other than the king of Dragon City. Wang Baiao. At this time, Wang Baiao was sitting upright, with a solemn expression, and looked very nervous. Hearing Chang Haihu's words, Wang Baiao's eyes flashed with surprise, and he whispered, "Sit down, don't yell so loudly. I made an appointment with a big shot to have dinner here." Hearing the words big shot, Chang Haihu's eyes lit up. Even Wang Baiao calls him a big shot, so that person's identity must not be simple. "Brother Baiao, give me an introduction. If you have a way to get rich, don't forget your brother." Chang Haihu had an apologetic smile on his face and an eager heart. Wang Baiao glanced at him and said calmly, "Huzi, brother, let me tell you the truth, but you may not like to hear it. You are not qualified to eat at the same table as that big shot." Chang Haihu's face darkened and he rubbed his nose in embarrassment. However, his strong curiosity was aroused by this sentence, and he tried his best to find out the identity of the big shot. Other side. Li Qingyan and Bai Ying stepped onto the spiral staircase and headed towards the second floor. Neither of them spoke, neither knew what to say. Halfway through, Bai Ying suddenly stopped. Li Qingyan was confused and turned to look at Bai Ying. Then, he saw a pair of teary eyes. Bai Ying's eyes were moist, holding back tears and said, "Qingyan, am I very shameless now?" Li Qingyan stared at Bai Ying's face, remained slightly silent, and sighed softly, I believe you have your reasons for doing this. As soon as these words came out, Bai Ying's tears fell straight down. Others will only ridicule her, mocking her openly and implicitly, thinking that she has changed and has become money-worshipping. Those people stand on the moral high ground and wield big sticks. Bai Ying turned around, faced the wall, kept wiping her tears, and choked up, my mother has a cerebral infarction, my father has kidney failure, and my brother is still studying. No matter how hard I work to make money, it's never enough. My parents have exhausted all their energy by sending me from the countryside to the city. I can't just watch them die in front of me, I can't do it. Bai Ying's emotions had been accumulated in her heart for a long time, and they were finally released at this moment. For others, she doesn't want to explain. But for Li Qingyan, she wanted to explain because she was afraid that Li Qingyan would look down on her. Li Qingyan gently handed over a tissue and said softly, stop crying, it will all pass. Bai Ying sobbed and nodded, holding back her tears and wiping them away. From a certain perspective, their personalities are similar. After Bai Ying regained her composure, Li Qingyan said seriously, why did Chang Haihu attend tonight's party? I feel like his intentions are not pure. Bai Ying nodded, Chang Haihu fell in love with a female classmate in our class and asked me to organize a dinner party. If it succeeds, he will reward me 200,000. Hearing this, Li Qingyan's face turned cold, aren't you helping the tyrants do evil? Bai Ying shook her head, I don't think so, it's just that everyone gets what they need. Chang Haihu chases women and likes to use money to clear the way. He enjoys the feeling of surrender. If that female classmate can resist the temptation, he won't do anything to her. Li Qingyan had a straight face and had nothing to say. Bai Ying's expression darkened, and she warned softly, however, I feel that his target tonight may have changed and become you. Be careful yourself. Yet. Li Qingyan responded and continued walking up. Bai Ying quickly followed. Soon. The two came to a box called Zhejiang Moon. When I opened the door, I saw 8 or 9 classmates already sitting inside. These students are both male and female, with more girls. The students inside were all surprised when they saw Li Qingyan. Oh, isn't this our campus beauty Li? Li Qingyan? Why are you here? Didn't you say you left Dragon City? Why are you back again? I heard that Mr. Chang was coming tonight, so I came here to join in the fun. 2 of the girls were twins. They spoke particularly unpleasantly and looked at Li Qingyan with hostility in their eyes. These 2 people are called Lu Bai and Lu Ji. Their purpose tonight is very clear, they are here for Chang Haihu. Li Qingyan's beauty gave them a sense of crisis. After these few days of recuperation, Li Qingyan gradually recovered her spiritual energy. White as jade skin, smart and charming eyes, delicate and beautiful face. Even women are moved when they see it, let alone men. Li Qingyan calmly pulled up a chair and sat down, and said calmly, Mr. Chang invited me to discuss something, so I came here. Some people, don't judge others by yourself, because your own heart will look dirty to everyone. Li Qingyan didn't tolerate those who had no quality at all, and directly criticized them. As soon as these words came out, everyone looked strange. Lu Bai and Lu Ji looked particularly ugly. Lu Bai snorted coldly, I don't even make drafts when I'm bragging. You have been expelled from the Li family a long time ago. You are no longer the eldest lady of the Li family. What qualifications do you have to talk to Mr. Chang? Lu Ji nodded and agreed, that's right, everyone knows the basics, don't pretend to be in front of us. I would like to ask, in your current capacity, is there anything you can discuss with Mr. Chang? He owes me 20 million. Li Qingyan said truthfully. As soon as these words came out, everyone looked at each other and burst into laughter. How shameless are you? I still owe you 20 million. Don't think we don't know about the things you borrowed money from everywhere before. Haha, I'm laughing so hard. This is the biggest joke I've heard today. Mr. Chang is a well-known entrepreneur. Will he owe you money? Don't get slapped in the face later. Lu Bai and Lu Ji laughed particularly cheerfully and loudly. Li Qingyan spread her hands, you can ask yourself when he comes later. The words just fell. Chang Haihu walked in from outside and said, what's the question? Chapter 56. Chang Haihu wanted to know who Wang Biao was going to invite to dinner tonight. I really want to meet that big shot. However, Wang Biao is very tight-lipped and is unwilling to disclose specific information no matter how he asks. Chang Haihu didn't want to ask for trouble, so he had no choice but to come up unwillingly. At this time, seeing Chang Haihu coming, Lu Bai and Lu Ji immediately acted extremely well behaved and said in unison, "Hello, Mr. Chang." While speaking, he also took the initiative to reach out to Chang Haihu. Today's underground forces have all put on a layer of disguise, dressing themselves up as 5 or 6 people. On the surface, Chang Haihu is a successful entrepreneur. Chang Haihu was wearing a suit and carrying a leather bag under his arm, looking like a successful man. With a smile on his face, he shook hands with Lu Bai and Lu Ji, and said with a smile, "Everyone, please be more casual. There is no need to be formal." "What did you just say? It's so lively." Lu Bai glanced at Li Qingyan and said, "Li Qingyan said you owe her money, and you still owe her as much as 20 million. We all thought it was kind of funny." Hearing this, Chang Haihu's expression remained unchanged and he said calmly, "I couldn't make money before, so I really owe the Li Group 20 million. These words were like a bolt from the blue, hitting the heads of Lu Bai and others. For a moment, their minds went blank. Everyone's eyes mechanically moved to Li Qingyan, their eyes dull. What Li Qingyan said turned out to be true. Mr. Chang actually owes her money. How is this possible? For a moment, there was silence in the box. Lu Bai and Lu Ji looked at Li Qingyan in shock, shocked on the outside and tender on the inside. What she just said was not even a lie. Seeing that the box suddenly became quiet, Chang Haihu smiled boldly, "It's normal for business to be slow, so don't be surprised." He thought everyone was shocked by his words. As soon as these words came out, everyone gradually came back to their senses. Lu Bai said flatteringly, "It's indeed normal, nothing strange." Chang Haihu smiled heartily, nodded, and acted very grandly. At this time, the restaurant manager walked in and said with a surprised look on his face, "Brother Hu, you haven't been here for a long time. You should tell me in advance so that I can prepare some special dishes for you." Chang Haihu moved his fingers on everyone and said with a smile, "Don't talk nonsense, these are all my friends. Put in all the best tasting dishes here and charge them to my account." Lu Bai and others were all flattered when Chang Haihu said that everyone was his friend. The restaurant manager nodded repeatedly, "I will definitely make arrangements for you. You come here to give our restaurant face. How can we dare to accept your money? Wait a moment, I'll make arrangements right away." After that, he walked out quickly. Indeed, no money will be charged. Because he didn't dare to accept Chang Haihu's money. Seeing that Chang Haihu was so impressive, Lu Bai and others were filled with admiration. Those boys were even more envious to their core. Seeing the admiring expressions of everyone, Chang Haihu felt happy. However, when his eyes moved to Li Qingyan, he frowned slightly. Because Li Qingyan's face was calm and unwavering, not showing any emotion. A sinister smile appeared on Chang Haihu's lips. It would be more interesting to conquer such people who are difficult to conquer. Soon, delicious dishes were served. Chang Haihu asked the restaurant manager to bring liquor and pour it for everyone. He stood up and said, "Meeting each other is fate. When we eat at the same table, we are all friends. I'm a very talkative person. I can talk about anything when I'm happy after drinking. Come on, let's go first." While speaking, he glanced at Li Qingyan intentionally or unintentionally, implying a threat. "If you don't enjoy the drink, forget about the debt." Li Qingyan guessed what Chang Haihu meant, gritted her teeth, raised her head and swallowed the drink. After the first 3 glasses of wine. After eating a few mouthfuls of food, Chang Haihu looked at Li Qingyan and said, "Ms. Li, that amount of money is owed for a lot of time. It's my problem. I'll give you 3 toasts." Li Qingyan waved her hands and said, "I'm not a good drinker. I can't drink so much." Bai Ying next to her said in time, "Let me help her drink it." Hearing what the two said, Chang Haihu narrowed his eyes and gave Bai Ying a vicious look, which made the latter tremble in fright. Then, Chang Haihu looked at Li Qingyan with a smile but not a smile, and said in a deep voice, "Miss Li, I, Chang Haihu, am a man in the world and have the best face. Please give me some face, Miss Li. As I said just now, if you feel happy after drinking, you can talk about anything." The threat in these words is already very obvious. Lu Bai helped, Li Qingyan, "Mr. Chang personally toasted you and you didn't drink it. It would be very disrespectful." Lu Ji nodded repeatedly in agreement. Thinking of the arrears of 20 million, Li Qingyan gritted her teeth and drank the wine in the glass. After that, whenever Li Qingyan mentioned the debt, Chang Haihu would say that he was not happy and would not talk about it. More than 10 minutes later, Li Qingyan had drunk a lot of wine and was feeling dizzy. Chang Haihu still used the same rhetoric, saying that he was not happy and did not mention the debt. Li Qingyan realized that if she drank any more, she would lose consciousness, so she took her bag and prepared to leave. Unexpectedly, there were 2 strong men in black standing guard at the door, preventing her from leaving. "Where are you going, Miss Li? It's so disrespectful to leave without even saying hello." Chang Haihu sat in his seat and looked at Li Qingyan coldly. Li Qingyan realized that it was difficult to get away now. As a weak woman, she could not confront anyone head-on, so she had to return to her seat. She quietly took out her phone and sent a text message to Ye Wuwei, "Brilliant restaurant, Zhejiang Yu, it's hard to get away from a scoundrel, come and pick me up." In the following time, Li Qingyan dealt with Chang Haihu's tough toast while anxiously waiting for Ye Wuwei. She held the drink in her mouth every time without swallowing. Then while eating the food, he quietly spit the wine into the bowl. Bai Ying sitting next to her saw it all but said nothing. Seeing Li Qingyan's face getting redder and redder, and his consciousness becoming less and less clear, Chang Haihu's heart was burning, and evil fire was already pouring out of his belly. He was excited that such a beautiful woman was about to be obtained. Now, all she had to do was wait for Li Qingyan to become completely drunk. 5 minutes later. Bang! The wooden door of the box suddenly shattered. A heroic figure walked in with a cold face. This person is naturally Ye Wuwei, who came quickly. Ye Wuwei walked to Li Qingyan and said softly, "What's going on?" Hiccup. Li Qingyan burped, pointed at Chang Haihu, and said drunkenly, "This, BD, he keeps, drinking me, with wine." Hearing this, Ye Wuwei grabbed a bottle of liquor and walked directly to Chang Haihu. Chang Haihu also drank a lot and his reaction was a bit slow. Before he could make a move, Ye Wuwei grabbed his hair. Then, the thick wine bottle was roughly inserted into Chang Haihu's mouth. Like an anus. "Since you like drinking, drink more." Chapter 57. Goo goo goo. The mouth of the bottle was directly inserted into Chang Haihu's throat, and the wine was forced into Chang Haihu's body. As the leader of the Tiger Gang, Chang Haihu is a warrior himself. However, after Ye Wuwei grabbed his hair, the inner energy in his body could not be mobilized at all. Many of his teeth were broken by the wine bottle, causing his whole body to throb in pain. Ye Wuwei's wild and rough behavior scared everyone else in the box into silence. Bai Ying and others looked at this scene in horror and did not dare to speak out to stop it. Everyone was frightened and gasped. "Who is this person? How dare you attack Mr. Chang? Mr. Chang is a real estate agent and has an overwhelming number of security teams. You offended him and don't want to hang out in Dragon City?" Lu Bai and Lu Ji looked at the door, wondering why the 2 strong men in black didn't stop them. When their eyes moved to the door, their necks shrank in fear. The 2 strong men in black who were standing at the door of the box had already fallen to the ground, not knowing whether they were alive or dead. For a while, except for the sound of drinking wine, there was no other noise in the box. Soon, a bottle of white wine was poured into Chang Haihu's belly. Ye Wuwei picked up another unopened bottle of liquor and flicked the mouth of the bottle open. Then, under the horrified eyes of everyone, he directly inserted the sharp glass bottle into Chang Haihu's mouth. The severe pain coming from his mouth made Chang Haihu subconsciously want to struggle. However, all resistance is in vain. The wine mixed with blood was forcefully poured into his stomach, and he didn't even have a chance to breathe. Chang Haihu looked at the cold face in front of him in horror. The cold and ruthless eyes made his heart throb. As the leader of the Tiger Gang, Chang Haihu has had a lot of blood on his hands, and he often deals with some murderous gangsters. But among the people he has ever seen, the most vicious and evil people are not 1/10,000th as good as the man in front of him. This look in his eyes didn't treat him as a human being at all. It's like looking at an ant that can be crushed to death at any time. That kind of indifference from the bottom of his heart made Chang Haihu's heart tremble. After drinking 5 bottles of Chang Haihu white wine, Chang Haihu's throat was filled with drink. The drink made his scratched mouth extremely painful, as if he was holding a soldering iron with a temperature of over 1,000 degrees. Although his body was in pain, Chang Haihu was relieved in his heart. "I really can't drink anymore." This ruthless man tortured himself so much that he should have vented his anger. However, Chang Haihu underestimated Ye Wuwei's anger. Ye Wuwei swept Chang Haihu's belly with his whip and whipped the latter away. The abdomen was hit, and the wine in Chong Haihu's stomach spurted out like a small fountain. Lu Bai and Lu Ji, who were closest to Chong Haihu, suffered an instant disaster. The sprayed SN covered both of their heads. The twins collapsed and screamed, angry and anxious, and were confused for a moment. When Bai Ying saw this scene, she secretly felt relieved. Ye Wuwei turned his head to look at the boys and said in a cold voice, "Come here and get him drunk." How could the boys dare to refuse, so they came to Ye Wuwei's side tremblingly. Seeing this, Chong Haihu was trembling with fear and growled, "Do you know who I am?" Ye Wuwei strode up to Chong Haihu, lowered his head and looked down at Chong Haihu lying in the corner, and said coldly, "How does a piece of trash deserve to let me know his name?" After all, he raised his hand and received a slap in the face. Pa! The crisp sound of slaps resounded throughout the audience. Chong Haihu was immediately stunned, and blood marks on his face quickly appeared. The force of this palm is just right, so it doesn't hurt your brain. Chong Haihu couldn't threaten those boys. Then, several boys worked together, one opened his mouth, another pressed his head, and another took the wine, and continued to pour wine into Chong Haihu. Ye Wuwei ignored the gazes of others, walked to Li Qingyan, and said softly, "Qingyan, tell me the cause and effect. The previous actions of these people determine their next fate." Li Qingyan leaned against Ye Wuwei and told intermittently what happened before. Ye Wuwei frowned when he heard that Chong Haihu owed money to the Li group and did not want to repay it, and threatened Li Qingyan to drink with the debt. "Good, good. You owe money and still want to be an uncle, but now your damn chance of becoming a grandson is gone." While listening to Li Qingyan's story, Ye Wuwei sent a message to Ye Yi, asking Ye Yi to check all the situations of Chong Black Tiger and the Tiger Gang. Ye Yi sits at the Zushan Temple headquarters all year round and is responsible for intelligence work. There is no need for this Tiger Gang to stay in this world. After a few minutes, "Get away!" Chong Haihu's roar sounded, and several boys around him were pushed away. At this time, Chong Haihu had come to his senses. He looked at Ye Wuwei bitterly and said harshly, "You have the guts. Since my debut in Chong Haihu, I have never suffered such a big loss today. You may not know who you have offended. Kneel down now and I will give you a happy death later." Chong Haihu was spitting out blood as he spoke, looking extremely ferocious. He knew in his heart that the two men at the door must have been dealt with by Ye Wuwei. It's impossible that the people in the restaurant didn't notice. In addition, there was a lot of movement in the box, and there must have been someone outside. The restaurant manager knows the 4 King Kong members of the Tiger Gang. Seeing that he was suffering a loss, the restaurant manager must have contacted the 4 kings under his command. Even though he knew that Ye Wuwei was a ruthless person, at this point, Chong Haihu couldn't give up. The gangsters on the road would have died long ago if they didn't have a bit of courage. Hearing this, Ye Wuwei looked at Chong Haihu indifferently and sneered, "Don't know who you are." Chong Haihu, chairman of the friendship group, leader of the Tiger Gang, 43 years old. He was jailed for getting into a fight at the age of 17. He was released from prison at the age of 22. He was imprisoned several times after that. Started as a loan shark. At the age of 33, he formed the Tiger Gang and recruited a group of thugs. 3 lives in my hands are all the fault of my subordinates. Regarding Chong Haihu's past, Ye Wuwei told them one by one. It's like giving the final sentence before the death penalty. When Chong Haihu saw that Ye Wuwei knew so much about his past, the horror in his heart reached an all-time high. "You, who are you?" Chong Haihu's eyes widened and he asked in fear. Ye Wuwei said coldly, "You don't deserve to know." At this time, there was a loud noise outside the door. A large group of strong men in black rushed to the door of the box aggressively. The 4 leaders were full of gangster spirit and their eyes were sinister. These are the 4 great kings under Chong Haihu. Chong Haihu was overjoyed and roared, "Sha Kun, come together and kill him quickly. Ye Wuwei knows too many secrets about him and must not keep them." Sha Kun is a famous first-level wanted criminal in Dai country. He was wanted by the Dai state for committing a murder and ran to Daxia to avoid arrest. Chong Haihu spent a lot of money to take Sha Kun under his command and make him the first of the 4 Vajras. Seeing Sha Kun's face, the expressions of Bai Ying, Lu Bai, Lu Ji and others changed wildly. They had seen this very Southeast Asian face on TV. During the security week some time ago, this face was scrolled on the big and small screens in Dragon City. This is a brutal first-level wanted criminal. Li Qingyan, Bai Ying and several girls who had a good relationship with Li Qingyan had a flash of worry in their eyes. The next second, The worry in their eyes turned to shock. I saw that Shakan didn't say much, and swept towards Ye Wuwei with a powerful and heavy whip leg. When the whip leg was only 10 centimeters away from Ye Wuwei raised his hand and firmly grasped Shakan's leg. Crack! Shakan's thigh was directly pinched off. Before Shakan could cry out in pain, Ye Wuwei slapped him on the forehead. Shakan suddenly fell to the ground softly, as if he had been cramped, not knowing whether he was alive or dead. Seeing this scene, everything inside and outside the box became silent. Chang Haihu and the members of the Tiger Gang instantly felt horrified. Shakan is a 4th-grade martial artist. Instantly kill a 4th-grade martial artist? Is this still a human being? Chapter 58. Of course, Shakan cannot die anymore. However, because Li Qingyan was still here, Ye Wuwei's method was much gentler and he did not blow up Shakan with one punch. He didn't want to leave a psychological shadow on Li Qingyan. Seeing that Shakan was knocked to the ground directly, Li Qingyan and others thought that Shakan had been knocked unconscious. Li Qingyan gave Ye Wuwei a thumbs up with drunken eyes and said, "So handsome." Generally speaking, Ye Wuwei would not bother to deal with this kind of rubbish, as he thought his hands would be dirty. Now that he was praised by the beautiful lady, Ye Wuwei felt relieved. He waved to the remaining members of the Tiger Gang and said calmly, "Come on, let's come together." The remaining 3 Vatras are all ruthless men who lick blood from their swords and have rich experience in actual combat. They knew that the gap in strength was a bit big and they couldn't talk about martial ethics now, so they just took out their sharp blades. An inch long, an inch strong. And there are so many people on our side. If we cooperate properly, there is no chance of killing this guy in front of us. Come together. The 3 King Kong roared and rushed towards Ye Wuwei from different directions. Other members of the Tiger Gang rushed towards Ye Wuwei from one direction. Careful! Seeing so many people besieging Ye Wuwei, Li Qingyan's heart lifted again. The words just fell. Bang! Boom! Crack! Whether it is the 3 King Kongs or ordinary members of the Tiger Gang, they are all shooting in all directions like cannonballs. No one could even touch Ye Wuwei's clothes, and they were knocked out without even knowing what happened. Ye Wuwei's attack speed was so fast that Li Qingyan and others couldn't see clearly. They only saw that as long as the Tiger Gang members came within 1 meter of Ye Wuwei, they would be bounced away as if they encountered a wall of air. On the windowsill, on the ceiling, in the walls, there were strong men from the Tiger Gang everywhere. Seeing this scene, all Li Qingyan's college classmates were stunned and dumbfounded. Li Qingyan's man is so fierce. Bai Ying looked at Li Qingyan with envy. It was great to have such a strong man guarding her. Lu Bai and Lu Ji looked at Li Qingyan with envy, but there was not only envy in their eyes, but also jealousy. As for Chang Haihu, who was lying on the ground, he realized that Ye Wuwei was more powerful than he imagined. Shakan is indeed powerful, but there are many people in Longcheng who are more powerful than Shakan. But there are definitely not many people who can resolve the siege of so many people so easily. Li Qingyan and others don't know martial arts, so they can't see anything. Chang Haihu saw some clues. This man is most likely a 2nd-grade martial arts master, or even a 1st-grade grand master. Generally speaking, a strong man of this level has a huge force behind him. Thinking of this, Chang Haihu's intestines turned green with regret. Why did you provoke such a level of existence? Chang Haihu was very straightforward. He knelt down directly towards Ye Wuwei and said in a trembling voice, "Senior, please forgive me for my recklessness just now. Martial arts is a journey, and those who have mastered it are the teachers. There is no psychological burden in worshipping a being who is far stronger than himself." Ye Wuwei looked cold and said calmly, "Have you had enough wine?" Hearing this, Chang Haihu trembled with fright and said in horror, "I'm so happy, I'm so happy. I will pay back the debt I owe to the Li Group immediately. 20 million, no less." Ye Wuwei took out his ears and sneered, "How much?" 2,000. Just after saying 2 words, Chang Haihu realized something was wrong and said in a trembling voice, 20 million is definitely not enough. I owe the Li Group an interest of 10 million a year for 2 years. Do you think that's okay? Hearing this, all the college students felt their hearts skip a beat. I owe 20 million, and the interest is 10 million a year. This is a huge profit. Li Qingyan's beautiful eyes widened and her mind became clearer. 20 million in interest? Then the Li Group can receive 40 million. Ye Wuwei was noncommittal and said coldly, "I heard that you also beat 3 employees of the Li Group." These three employees naturally refer to the financial director and two bodyguards who accompanied Li Qingyan to the friendship group before. Chang Haihu stretched out a finger and said nervously, "One person will be compensated 100,000. Ye Wuwei narrowed his eyes slightly, "A financial director will pay 100,000. Chang Haihu's heart trembled and he quickly changed his words, 1 million, each person will pay 1 million. Speaking of this, Chang Haihu gritted his teeth secretly and said to himself, "Since there has been so much blood, let's just spend money to eliminate the disaster if the bleeding occurs all at once." Thinking of this, Chang Haihu looked at Li Qingyan flatteringly and said, "Tonight I am so brave that I dare to be disrespectful to Miss Li. I'll just put it all together and have someone transfer 50 million to the Li group. The 7 million should be used as an apology to Miss Li." When he said these words, Chang Haihu's heart was bleeding. 50 million is not a small amount of money. Excluding expenses, the total profit of the entire Tiger Gang in a year is only 50 to 60 million. Ah! Do I have a share? Li Qingyan was greatly surprised, and her mind became clearer again. Chang Haihu nodded vigorously, yes, there must be. He could see that Li Qingyan was Ye Wuwei's weakness. It is more effective to please Li Qingyan than to please Ye Wuwei. After saying that, Chang Haihu took out his mobile phone, quickly dialed a number, and growled, "Quickly, transfer 50 million to the Li group, immediately." When the others heard this, they looked at Li Qingyan with only deep envy in their eyes. They usually drink with their leaders, and no one even cares about them until they have stomach bleeding. Li Qingyan drank more wine and lost 7 million. This gap is completely different. Many people's eyes flashed, and they were already thinking about how to establish a good relationship with Li Qingyan. This old classmate who once became the laughingstock of the entire Dragon City is no longer what he used to be. After doing all this, Chang Haihu looked at Ye Wuwei again and said nervously, "Senior, the debt has been settled. See if you can make a fool of me." Chang Haihu's heart was beating wildly, waiting for the final verdict. "Whether you can leave alive today depends on now. Let you go." Ye Wuwei had a faint smile on his face, looked at Chang Haihu like an idiot, and said, "Do you think the sins on your body have been washed away?" As soon as these words came out, Chang Haihu's expression changed wildly, and his heart sank to the bottom. The faint smile on Ye Wuwei's face was even more terrifying than the devil's smile in Chang Haihu's eyes. Chang Haihu said in a trembling voice, Senior, I know Brother Biao, and we are considered brothers. For Brother Biao's sake, can you please be more generous?" When he said this, Chang Haihu had already dialed Wang Biao's phone number. Wang Biao, the king of Dragon City, is known to everyone in Dragon City, and he can eat both black and white. Wang Biao will be at the Huang restaurant tonight. At this moment, Wang Biao has become Chang Haihu's only life-saving straw. Wang Biao on the other end of the phone heard these words and realized that Chang Haihu was in trouble, and said in a deep voice, "Friend, I am Wang Biao. For my sake, how about giving him a chance?" Hearing this, Chang Haihu was overjoyed and saw hope. Brother Biao is awesome. Up and down the Dragon City, who wouldn't give Brother Biao some face? However, Ye Wuwei's words made Chang Haihu's smile freeze on his face. "Get away. Nothing works for me here." Chapter 59. As soon as these words came out, the whole place was dead silent. Chang Haihu was confused and his head was a mess. Bai Ying and others were so frightened that they did not dare to breathe. Who is Wang Biao? That is the thunderous existence of Dragon City. There is a popular saying, Wang Biao has the final say whether Dragon City is in chaos or not. Although this sentence is exaggerated, Wang Biao's influence is indeed too great. Wang Biao has been very cooperative with all official actions in recent years, but in the early years he was also a notorious presence on the road. He likes to make friends and can talk to them wherever he goes. Even the famous martial arts masters in Longcheng have to sell Wang Biao's face. After all, everyone encounters problems sometimes. If you encounter a difficult problem that cannot be solved, Wang Biao will definitely solve it. Even when the Longcheng Security Bureau encounters some difficult problems when handling a case, it has to ask Wang Biao for assistance. The two characters Wang Biao are a golden sign. It's hard to imagine that there are people in Longcheng who don't give him face. Li Qingyan pulled Ye Wuwei's sleeves and reminded in a low voice, "A strong dragon will not suppress a local snake." Wang Biao is the biggest local snake in Dragon City. She knew that Ye Wuwei was very powerful. After all, he was a strong man who could become a 9-star general by virtue of his military exploits. However, Ye Wuwei had already left the War Department, and all of his relationships over the years were outside the territory. Moreover, Ye Wuwei's powerful brothers have all left. Now if you want to live in Longcheng for a long time, you should try not to offend Wang Biao. Hearing this, Ye Wuwei shook his head slightly. Don't worry, I know what's going on. Here I am, the dragon coiled up for me, and the tiger lying down for me. If I don't cause trouble for them, it's enough for them to thank God. Hearing these extremely domineering words, Li Qingyan instantly felt at ease. She believed that Ye Wuwei would not brag. When other people heard this, they were shocked. Mad. So crazy. It should be noted that there are people outside the world, and there is a sky outside the world. There are hidden dragons and crouching tigers in Dragon City, and powerful characters emerge one after another. These words are too outrageous. Wang Biao on the other end of the phone naturally heard everything Ye Wuwei said. Wang Biao's voice was cold. Friend, I'll be there right away. I would like to see who you are. Then, the phone hung up. Chang Haihu looked at Ye Wuwei cautiously and did not dare to speak. In less than 10 seconds, there was a burst of sound outside the box. A strong man strode into the box with a dark face. This person is none other than the king of Dragon City. Wang Biao. There was another person behind Wang Biao, a middle-aged man with an ordinary appearance. However, those who can walk with Wang Biao must not be ordinary people. Wang Biao walked into the box, quickly scanned everyone in the box, and finally his eyes fell on Ye Wuwei. His face turned dark and he said coldly, Friend, I, Wang Biao, am not a person, nor can I be considered a local snake. However, my friend's harsh tone just now made me feel very uncomfortable. Having said this, Wang Biao clasped his hands and said, Since we are all warriors, let me ask you for advice on 2 moves. Please give me some advice from my friends. As soon as he finished speaking, Wang Biao moved one foot forward and the other backward, clenched his fists and pulled out the boxing frame. Boom boom boom. Waves of invisible power washed away from Wang Biao, impacting the minds of everyone in the box. Li Qingyan and others' hearts were pounding. Is this the power of a strong martial artist? Even before you take action, you can already influence other people's minds. Careful. Li Qingyan looked at Ye Wuwei with a worried look and reminded him. Ye Wuwei smiled lightly, It's just a showpiece, don't worry. Hearing this, Wang Biao was so angry that his face turned black as ink. He roared loudly, See the real chapter under your hands. Before he finished speaking, Wang Biao took the initiative and rushed towards Ye Wuwei. Wang Biao is a 3rd-grade martial king, and his strength is not weak. He carried a huge power and rushed towards Ye Wuwei. Seeing this scene, everyone's curiosity was aroused. This should be a battle between dragons and tigers. However, the next second, boom! Everyone's eyes were dazzled when they saw Wang Biao flying back at a faster speed than when he came, directly knocking a big hole in the wall. Through the hole, everyone in the box discovered that many good people had come outside. Seeing Wang Biao crashing through the wall and falling to the ground, he was holding his stomach in pain. Everyone inside and outside the box took a deep breath. Fierce. So fierce. No wonder he is so crazy, he has the capital to be arrogant. The ordinary-looking middle-aged man who came with Wang Biao's eyes lit up and he praised, What a good leg. After saying that, the middle-aged man clasped his hands and said, Beiji Chuan, Chen Zhen, please teach me. As soon as Chen Zhen announced his home, everything inside and outside the box exploded. What, Bajiquan Chen Zhen? He is actually the youngest martial arts master in the history of Beiji Chuan. I never thought that Grandmaster Chen would be so young and how high he would reach in the future. Wen has Tai Chi to stabilize the world, and martial arts has Beiji to stabilize the world. Bajiquan is famous for its killing power. Master Beiji took action personally, that guy should be beaten. One after another, exclamations continued to sound, coming from all directions. In the box, even if they had not had much contact with martial arts, Li Qingyan, Bai Ying and others had all heard of Chen Zhen's name. This is a 2nd-grade martial arts master. And he is also a master of Bajiquan. There are not many martial arts masters in the entire Zhangzhou, let alone the entire Dragon City. Such an existence actually appeared in this small box. While everyone was amazed, Wang Biao's expression changed drastically. Ignoring the pain in his abdomen, Wang Biao rushed back to the box, looked at Chen Zhen anxiously, and said, Master Chen, you must not take action. That matter hasn't been decided yet, so don't leave a bad impression on that person. Hearing this, Chen Zhen smiled slightly. It is precisely because it has not been settled that I have the freedom to take action. Now I take action for you, which can be regarded as repaying your kindness of introduction. Wang Biao sighed heavily. It's up to you. When Chen Zhen traveled outside the territory, he saw some of the deeds of the Temple of Punishment. After returning to Daxia, he always wanted to join the Temple of Death, but he had no way. Wang Biao has always known about this matter. Yesterday, Wang Biao visited Chen Zhen and claimed that he had established contact with Zushan Temple and knew two important figures in Zushan Temple and could introduce Chen Zhen. So tonight, Wang Biao made an appointment with Ye Lu for dinner. Introduce Chen Zhen to Ye Lu to see if he can join the Temple of Death. When we just had dinner, Ye Lu didn't agree, but just said that he needed to investigate. Wang Biao was afraid that Chen Zhen would take action for him and something unexpected would happen, and he would be turned away from the Temple of Punishment. Neither of them knew. The master of the Temple of Punishment was standing in front of them at this moment. Chapter 60. In everyone's shocked and excited eyes, Chen Zhen looked at Ye Wuwei solemnly, clasping his fists in his hands. Please enlighten me. He has a strong intuition. Although the young man in front of him did not show any power, he was not weaker than himself. He already has such extraordinary strength at such a young age. Either there is a Ye Wuwei family with profound foundation standing behind them, or they have had extraordinary experiences. No matter which way you think about it, fighting against this young man is an opportunity to hone your martial arts skills. Hearing this, Ye Wuwei nodded lightly. Come on. He himself has been practicing killing skills, and the enemies he faces must all fight to the death. He hasn't competed with the Beiji Grandmaster yet, and he is very curious about whether the famous Beiji Master has any water. Ye Wuwei's casual and calm attitude seemed a bit contemptuous in the eyes of others. Many people looked like they were watching a good show, waiting to see Ye Wuwei make a fool of himself. Chen Zhen, the 8 Extremes Grandmaster, was not something Wang Biao could compare to. Wang Biao has a strong network of connections. As for Chen Zhen, his combat effectiveness is really high. The twins Lu Bai and Lu Ji clenched their fists secretly, hoping that Ye Wuwei would make a fool of himself. Their jealousy was so strong that their eyes almost turned red. On the contrary, Chen Zhen, the client, did not care about Ye Wuwei's attitude. Strong people have strong personalities, this is normal. Chen Zhen pulled out his fist and looked at Ye Wuwei solemnly. Because Ye Wuwei was standing there so casually, looking like there were flaws all over his body. This made Chen Zhen feel a bit jealous and did not dare to act rashly. After a 3-second pause, Chen Zhen stepped heavily on his feet and suddenly charged forward. The first move is a very representative move in Bajiquan, the heart-to-heart elbow. According to Chen Zhen's assumption, even if Ye Wuwei is powerful, if he suddenly launches an attack, even if he can barely block the elbow, he will be in chaos. The rhythm of the next attack is within his control. The two sides are not far apart. In addition, Chen Zhen sprinted with all his strength, so he appeared in front of Ye Wuwei in the blink of an eye. Seeing that his elbow was about to touch Ye Wuwei's body, Ye Wuwei still looked calm, and a look of doubt flashed in Chen Zhen's eyes. What's going on? Lost your mind? As soon as the look of doubt appeared, it quickly dissipated and was replaced by a look of deep horror. His elbow was suddenly pinched by Ye Wuwei. Quick! Too fast! It was so fast that Chen Zhen didn't realize when Ye Wuwei took action. The next moment, Chen Zhen felt an unrivaled force coming from his elbow. His body flew back involuntarily. Chen Zhen's body made a 720-degree Thomas's turn in the air, twisting his waist with all his strength before he landed smoothly on the ground. Seeing this scene, other people's eyes bulged and their jaws dropped in shock. What's going on? Grandmaster Beiji was knocked back by one move? How is this possible? Not to mention others, even Li Qingyan looked shocked. Under everyone's shocked eyes, Chen Zhen looked ashamed, cupped his fists and said, I lost. Thank you for your mercy, Your Excellency. With the speed shown by Ye Wuwei, Chen Zhen knew that he was no match. If he hadn't been merciful, he would have been lying on the ground now. As soon as these words came out, the whole place fell silent. Hearing Chen Zhen admit defeat with their own ears, the others were frightened. Damn it! One move determines the outcome? This is the Beiji Grandmaster. This guy looks so young, is he already so strong? Everyone looked at Ye Wuwei in disbelief, huge waves rising in their hearts. In other words, this young man is at least a martial arts master? A heartfelt admiration arose spontaneously in everyone's hearts. With shocked eyes, Ye Wuwei said calmly, "Too slow. You still have to practice." He is still so calm and calm. If he had dared to say that a martial arts master still needed to practice before, the people around him would have made a few sarcastic remarks in a strange way. However, at this moment, no one thinks he is contemptuous or arrogant. They are really powerful. People with strength are not arrogant, this is called guidance. Lu Bai and Lu Ji looked at Li Qingyan jealously, their teeth almost breaking. Where did you get such good luck to find such a strong man? Just now I could still look up, but now I no longer have the qualification to look up. All the college students present realized that this might be the last meal they had with Li Qingyan. If you want to have a meal with someone in the future, it will probably be harder than going to heaven. This old classmate who once became the laughingstock of the entire Dragon City will surely shine in the entire Zhongzhou in the near future. At this moment, a cold voice came from outside the box. What's going on? It was Ye Liu's voice. Wang Baiao's expression changed slightly and he said nervously, "Sixth Master, this little matter will be taken care of right away." He was really afraid of influencing Chen Zhen to join the Temple of Death. He is relatively familiar with Chen Zhen. If Chen Zhen can join the Temple of Punishment, he can also benefit from it in the future. Seeing Wang Baiao so nervous, everyone was surprised. Regardless of the identity of the person coming, even a person like Wang Baiao has to deal with it carefully and behave like an obedient primary school student. Chang Haihu, who was still kneeling on the ground, suddenly felt happy. This is the big shot brother Baiao was talking about. Good, good. The identity and strength of a big shot who could be hosted by brother Baiao and Master Chen must be so exaggerated that it is unimaginable. If I could just say a few words of help, I would be saved. Chang Haihu was almost numbed by the successive shocks, and gradually became active. He made up his mind that if nothing happened tonight, he would take a detour when he saw Ye Wuwei and Li Qingyan in the future. Li Qingyan's eyes lit up when she heard this voice. Isn't this Xia Liu's voice? Why is he here too? Li Qingyan's college classmates were shocked to find that there was an even more important figure. Tonight can be said to be a worthwhile trip. Watched the whole movie in the best viewing position. In everyone's expectation, Ye Lu walked into the box. Seeing that Ye Wuwei and Li Qingyan were also in the box, Ye Lu was stunned for a moment and said in surprise, "Boss, sister-in-law, why are you here?" In Ye Liu's eyes, Wang Baiao is just a small character. Wang Baiao's invitation to dinner was something he didn't tell Ye Wuwei in detail at all. He only said that there was a martial arts master who wanted to join the Temple of Punishment and wanted to see how he was doing. There is no need to elaborate on this kind of thing, because Ye Wuwei doesn't care about these things at all. Unexpectedly, Ye Wuwei and Li Qingyan were also at the brilliant restaurant. As soon as Ye Lu finished speaking, the whole place was filled with excitement. This heavyweight, who even Wang Baiao was in awe of, turned out to be just his younger brother. Damn it! Damn it! Among everyone, Wang Baiao was the most shocked. The boss of Mr. Lu. Isn't that the lord of the Temple of Killing? What the hell did I just do? Chang Haihu, I will kill your whole family. UFG piece of shit. You know how to cause trouble, just pick the one you can't mess with the most. It's not good for you to offend anyone. You should offend the master of the Temple of Execution who can even destroy the Zhao family. Wang Baiao was so frightened that his heart trembled and he broke out in cold sweat. Plop. In everyone's confused eyes, Wang Baiao's knees softened and he knelt down directly towards Ye Wuwei. Chapter 61. Meet Mr. Ye. Meet Miss Li. Wang Baiao's voice trembled and he was afraid to pay homage. After the engagement party incident, Wang Baiao communicated with Ma Feiyang and knew some of Ye Wuwei's situation. He also knew that the wife of the temple master was Li Qingyan, the eldest lady of the Li family who had become the laughingstock of Dragon City. He originally thought that he would meet Ye Wuwei and Li Qingyan on an extremely formal wedding day. He never expected to meet Ye Wuwei and Li Qingyan under such circumstances. Seeing this scene, countless people were stunned. Even Chang Haihu is no exception. Who is Wang Baiao? The name of the Dragon City Earth King is heard throughout Zhongzhou. At this moment, he knelt down to worship. What kind of fairy is this? Ye Wuwei said calmly, "Get up, I don't want to do this." His words fell into Wang Baiao's ears and became an imperial edict. Wang Baiao did not dare to hesitate at all. Although his legs were still a little weak, he still stood up with force. Ye Lu looked at the situation in the box and realized some problems. He walked quickly to Ye Wuwei and whispered, "Boss, what's going on?" Ye Wuwei glanced at Chang Haihu and said calmly, "We'll talk about it later." At this glance, Chang Haihu's scalp was numb and his body was shaking wildly. After saying that, he turned his head to look at Li Qingyan and said softly, "Qingyan, Ye Lu will take you back first. I'll handle some more things here." Seeing Ye Wuwei's gentle expression when speaking to Li Qingyan, everyone was in a trance. He is wild and cool outside and is the most powerful man in the world. He is so gentle to his woman. Who doesn't love this kind of man? All the ladies inside and outside the box cast extremely envious glances at Li Qingyan. At this time, Li Qingyan was mostly sober from alcohol. She stood up, nodded, and whispered, "Come back soon." She could guess that with Ye Wuwei's character, he would definitely settle the score with the Tiger Gang next. But her guess was not comprehensive enough. Ye Wuwei wanted to settle accounts not only with the Tiger Gang, but also with the entire underground forces in Dragon City. Hearing this, Wang Biao smiled apologetically and said attentively, "How about I arrange a motorcade to send Mr. Lu and Miss Li away?" Ye Wuwei glanced at Wang Biao and nodded. Seeing this, Wang Biao was ecstatic. It was his honor to serve Ye Wuwei. Wang Biao immediately took out his mobile phone and arranged for a convoy to come up to pick him up. At the same time, Ye Wuwei turned his head to look at Li Qingyan's college classmates and said calmly, "After watching the show for so long, I should have seen enough. Go slowly, don't send me away." Hearing this, a group of college classmates stood up in a hurry and walked out quickly. When passing by Li Qingyan, everyone reluctantly said goodbye to Li Qingyan, which was truly sincere. Those who didn't know thought they had a good relationship. Ye Wuwei's eyes passed over each of his college classmates, and finally fell on Lu Bai and Lu Ji. "You two, stop." Ye Wuwei's voice was not loud, but it made everyone's heart twitch. Lu Bai and Lu Ji were so frightened that they almost cried. Ye Wuwei said coldly, "Do you have any conflicts with Qingyan? If there is a conflict, resolve it face to face. I don't like people causing trouble behind the scenes." Ye Wuwei had long noticed the twins, who had always looked at Li Qingyan unkindly. "Just because I didn't have time to settle accounts with them, it doesn't mean that Ye Wuwei won't intervene. No. No." Lu Bai was so frightened that he shook his head vigorously and denied it. Bai Ying couldn't stand it and said, "When you weren't here, they were both mean and sarcastic at Qingyan, and even coaxed Qingyan to drink more." Hearing this, Ye Wuwei frowned and looked at Ye Lu. Ye Lu understood the idea and stepped forward to shout at the loudmouths. "People who are mean-mouthed should have a longer memory." Lu Bai and Lu Ji were stunned by the slap and stood there blankly. It took several seconds for the two of them to come to their senses. Although their faces were burning with pain, they did not dare to cry at all. They could only endure the pain, lower their heads and leave in despair. Soon, the people arranged by Wang Biao arrived. Ye Lu escorted Li Qingyan to leave the brilliant restaurant. The idle people outside the box were also driven away, and Wang Biao gave him a gag order, prohibiting him from telling anyone what he saw. Soon, only 4 people, Ye Wuwei, Wang Biao, Chen Zhen and Chang Haihu, were left in the box. Chang Haihu is cautious, walking on thin ice. He has realized that he has offended someone from Tongtian, and he is probably doomed tonight. Wang Biao looked at Ye Wuwei in awe and said nervously, "Mr. Ye, I have no idea about Chang Haihu pouring wine into Miss Li. This BD is so cowardly, do you want me to kill him with one slap?" Ye Wuwei pulled up a chair and sat down, saying coldly, "It's not just him. The entire Tiger Gang, and even the underground forces in Longcheng, should be cleared out." "Yes, yes." Wang Biao quickly nodded in agreement, "You are right, everything should be cleaned up." Immediately, Wang Biao said with some embarrassment, "Mr. Ye, I have more than enough people to deal with the Tiger Gang. But to clean up all the underground forces in Dragon City, I may not have enough manpower." Hearing this, Ye Wuwei looked at Chen Zhen and said, "Do you want to join the Temple of Punishment?" Chen Zhen nodded heavily, "I think so. I have seen the deeds of slaying the temple outside the territory, and I yearn for it." "You are?" From the reactions of Wang Biao and Ye Lu, Chen Zhen guessed that Ye Wuwei was also a member of the Temple of Execution and had a very high status. Maybe it was a certain divine envoy from the Temple of Punishment, or even one of the 4 heavenly kings of the Temple of Punishment. Wang Biao, who was standing next to him, said quickly, Master Chen, this is the master of the Temple of Punishment. What? Chen Zhen's expression changed wildly. Kill the master of the temple? This person in front of me is the mysterious and powerful God of Punishment, ranked first in the list of the world's top 100 gods of war? Is he the master of the Temple of Punishment who led the Temple of Punishment to sweep through the underground world outside the territory and made countless underground giants feel palpitated? Chen Zhen's body trembled, he clasped his hands into fists and said excitedly, I've seen Hall Master yet. He had heard many legends about killing the master of the temple outside the territory. Now that he actually saw a real person, Chen Zhen's excitement and shock surged to the extreme. Tonight, you cooperate with Wang Baiao's men. If you perform well, I will allow you to join the Temple of Death. Ye Wuwei's voice was very calm, but it made Chen Zhen blush with excitement. Chen Zhen was so excited that his body was shaking wildly, and he said decisively, Chen Zhen will go all out. Then, he suddenly turned back and looked at Chang Haihu. Tonight's killing started with Chang Haihu, the culprit. Ignoring Chang Haihu's regretful look, Chen Zhen chopped Chang Haihu to death with one palm. Wang Baiao felt relieved when he saw that Chen Zhen, the martial arts master, was also going to join tonight's action. With one phone call, he directly ordered his men to dispatch and gather in various places in Longcheng. For a time, an invisible storm set off in Dragon City. After Wang Baiao told Chen Zhen the location of the operation, the latter left quickly. As soon as Chen Zhen arrives, Wang Baiao's men can take action directly. Chen Zhen left, leaving only Ye Wuwei and Wang Baiao in the box. Ye Wuwei spoke again and ordered, find out who still owes money to the Li group, and bring them all to me. Yes. Wang Baiao respectfully accepted the order. Chapter 62. A whirlwind blew up in Dragon City. Wang Baiao, who had not taken action for many years, mobilized his troops in large numbers. Teams of motorcades gathered all over Dragon City, blocking the lairs of underground forces. Wang Baiao knows even better than the Security Bureau how many underground forces there are in Longcheng and where they are located. In order to ensure the smooth operation of tonight's operation, Wang Baiao also used his accumulated contacts and invited many martial arts masters to join him. There are so many martial arts masters, and Chen Zhen, the Beiji Grand Master, personally takes action. The underground forces in Longcheng are facing catastrophe. For the first time, Wang Baiao's influence was fully revealed in front of Longcheng's senior officials. Due to the large scale of the operation, even Zhangzhou Governor Lu Pianan and Zhangzhou War Department Commander-in-Chief Hu Dianchen were alerted. However, after learning that Wang Baiao was attacking the underground forces in Longcheng this time, neither Lu Pianan nor Hu Dianchen stopped him. As the capital of Zhangzhou, Longcheng's underground forces can take root in Longcheng and more or less have their own network of relationships. The relationship between these underground forces is complicated. Although they have been severely cracked down several times, these underground forces can always get the news in advance, which is extremely troublesome to deal with. This time Wang Baiao suddenly took action. Lu Pianan and Hu Dianchen roughly guessed who meant it. With the abilities of these two people, it is natural to know that Wang Baiao has recently become very close to the two guardians of the Zhu Temple. Wang Baiao's actions tonight, if nothing unexpected happened, were the intentions of the Master of the Temple of Punishment who stayed in Dragon City. Zushan Temple has swept away the underground forces outside the territory, and now it is starting to clean up the underground forces within Daxia. Lu Pianan and Hu Dianchen are both happy to hear this. Brilliant restaurant. In the box, Ye Wuwei sat on the chair with an expressionless face. Wang Baiao stood upright behind Ye Wuwei with a respectful expression. Opposite them stood a group of people with panic-stricken eyes and uncertain faces. The capable people in Longcheng basically knew Wang Baiao's actions tonight. The group of people caught in the box, who dared to owe the Li family money, and whether the Li family would come back, were naturally all people with considerable ability in Longcheng. Boss Wang, what's the situation? What are you doing? Brother Baiao, I have never offended you before. Why did you bring me here all of a sudden? Wang Baiao, we have always kept our distance, what do you want to do? Let me tell you, I am not a fool. These people were all brought here by Wang Baiao in sacks, and they were all a little angry. However, most people did not dare to get angry with Wang Baiao, and only a few people dared to express their dissatisfaction. Shut up, everyone! Do you have a right to speak? Wang Baiao roared angrily and stared at the group of people. Seeing Wang Baiao getting angry, the group of people instantly lost their voice. Even the two most powerful ones only dared to snort and did not dare to speak anymore. Wang Biao organized a big operation tonight, and they all knew it. If Wang Biao is determined to punish someone, none of the people present can withstand it. Seeing that the box became quiet, Ye Wuwei looked at the person who had spoken the most forcefully and said, "How much do you owe the Li Group?" Wang Biao promptly introduced, "His name is Yang Wei, chairman of Weian Group, and he is involved with some powerful people in Longcheng." Hearing this, Yang Wei said in a deep voice, "It's good to know. I'm not someone to be trifled with." Ye Wuwei was too lazy to talk nonsense and said coldly, "Cut off one of his hands first." Yang Wei's expression changed and he shouted, "How dare you!" Wang Biao smiled coldly, rushed in front of Yang Wei with murderous intent, and punched the latter's arm without hesitation. Crack! The sound of bone cracking sounded. Yang Wei let out a scream, his face twisted in pain, and he was sweating profusely. Seeing this scene, the others were so frightened that their faces turned pale and they remained silent. Everyone knows that Yang Wei, the thorn in the side, was chosen to kill chickens and scare monkeys. If they dare to explode, they will end up like Yang Wei. Only then did they understand that they were being screamed again, and my arm will be broken again. At this time, Ye Wuwei's voice appeared in everyone's ears again. Everyone's hearts were trembling. What a cruel person. Yang Wei was even scared to the point of peeing, and he tried not to scream out. Seeing this, Ye Wuwei remained expressionless and said, "I don't like to ask a second time." Yang Wei endured the severe pain in his arm and said with a trembling voice, 10 million. Ye Wuwei, how long do you owe me?" Yang Wei trembled, 1 year. Ye Wuwei, how much more? 20 million. Yang Wei originally wanted to pay back the principal, but when he saw Ye Wuwei's brows raised slightly, he quickly changed his mind. "Ye Wuwei, how long will it take to pay back?" Yang Wei wiped the cold sweat from his forehead and said in horror, "Tomorrow, I will send it to the Li Group tomorrow." Not only did he pay back the money, he also apologized in person. Seeing Ye Wuwei's cruelty, Yang Wei's courage was almost shattered, and he still dared to confront him. Moreover, seeing Wang Biao being as obedient as a dog in front of Ye Wuwei, Yang Wei knew that Ye Wuwei was someone he could not afford to offend. Ye Wuwei nodded with satisfaction and looked at the next person. The man's face changed wildly, and while wiping the cold sweat on his forehead, he explained, I forgot to pay back the money I owed to the Li Group. I owe the Li Group 3 million, and I owe it for 1 year. I will pay it back in person tomorrow to apologize, and I will pay back 6 million plus interest." Having learned from the past, this person is very conscious. Ye Wuwei took the initiative to tell the answers to all the questions without asking any questions. Then, every time Ye Wuwei looked at someone, that person would consciously tell him the amount owed and the repayment amount. The whole process went very smoothly. After the questioning, Ye Wuwei stood up and said coldly, "Remember your words. If you dare to break your promise, you will be responsible for the consequences." After that, he strode out of the box. Wang Biao gave these people a fierce look and said in a cold voice, "I want you to pay back the money to give you a chance. If you dare to do something small, it won't be something that can be solved by paying back the money." As soon as he finished speaking, Wang Biao quickly followed Ye Wuwei. After the two left, everyone in the box breathed a sigh of relief at the same time. Only then did they realize that their clothes were soaked with cold sweat. Everyone looked at Yang Wei and said nervously, "Chairman Yang, what do you say? Are you really going to the Li Group to apologize tomorrow?" Yang Wei gritted his teeth, reluctantly took out his mobile phone, and said ferociously, "Let me ask about the situation first." Hearing this, everyone was delighted. The powerful man behind Yang Wei has a high official status in Zhangzhou. That was someone Wang Biao didn't dare to offend easily. Soon, the call was connected. After Yang Wei explained the situation, a roar came from the phone, "Li's Group. Can that young man command Wang Biao? If you want to FG die, don't drag me into the water, get out." Then, the phone hung up. Everyone looked at the phone that had been hung up and felt frightened. Everyone realized that that young man was someone that even the high-status dignitaries did not dare to offend. "Quick, quick, quick! Go prepare gifts and go to Li Group to apologize tomorrow. Damn it, who is the Li Group hooking up with? It's over. I scolded their employee who came to collect the bill before. Why is my mouth so mean?" Everyone panicked and ran out of the box in panic, preparing to apologize tomorrow. Other side. The top of Shenglong City, Dragon Palace. Nian was discharged from the hospital in the evening and sent to the Dragon Palace. After Ye Wuwei left the brilliant restaurant, he returned directly to the Dragon Palace. As soon as he arrived at the gate of Dragon Palace, Ye Wuwei saw Ye Lu waiting for him outside. Ye Lu's face looked wrong, something must have happened. What's wrong? Ye Wuwei said doubtfully. Ye Lu lowered his voice and whispered, Boss, the person sent by the fourth seat to deliver the message has arrived. It's just that the person who sent the message must have been intercepted and seriously injured. I asked him something, and he only told me a few numbers, which should be secret words. If I couldn't answer them, he would die without speaking. Go and have a look. Let's go. Ye Wuwei nodded and quickly entered the Dragon Palace. He wondered why the people in the fourth seat were intercepted and killed in Daxia. Chapter 63. Dragon Palace Basement. For safety and confidentiality, Ye Lu placed the seriously injured messenger here. When Ye Wuwei entered the basement, he saw a man wearing a black combat uniform lying in the corner. This man was covered in blood, his combat uniform was badly damaged, and he looked very weak. Fortunately, his wounds were easily treated by Ye Lu, so that they would not become more serious. The man looked very nervous when he saw someone coming in. After seeing Ye Lu among the visitors, he breathed a sigh of relief, and then looked at Ye Wuwei warily. Ye Wuwei said in a deep voice, Are you sent by the fourth seat? The man who delivered the message did not speak, but nodded warily. Seeing how vigilant this person was, Ye Wuwei spoke again, Give me the list. After hearing this, the man finally spoke and said, 7963. His voice was a little hoarse and a little sharp, like two pieces of embroidered iron rubbing against each other. It is indeed a secret language. Ye Wuwei, 4708. As soon as he finished speaking, the messenger's eyes lit up and he said excitedly, Are you really Ye Wuwei? This sentence is completely redundant. No matter who it is, as long as the other party can match the secret language, he can hand over the list to the other party. Of course, only Ye Wuwei can face him. Ye Wuwei nodded calmly, It's guaranteed to be true. The man who delivered the message quickly rolled up his sleeves, revealing a round metal tube tied to his hand. This is an anti-theft device. If anyone wants to get the list inside, violently dismantle the metal pipe. The explosives filled inside will explode, destroying the list at the same time. The messenger man opened the mechanical lock at one end of the metal pipe and took out a cylindrical object. It is not difficult to see that this cylindrical object is formed by folding several pieces of paper. The man who delivered the letter, with trembling arms, handed the list to Ye Wuwei. Ye Wuwei took the list and said, Wait here for a moment, and I'll have someone come over to treat your injuries. The man who delivered the message smiled bitterly and shook his head, It's too late. I injected myself with a tube of adrenaline to get here. My body is already overstretched and getting weaker and weaker. Death is only a matter of time. Knowing that he was about to die, he didn't have much fear. He has completed the tasks assigned by Shang Keoj and can welcome death with a smile. Hearing this, Ye Wuwei's face darkened and he said in a deep voice, Who attacked you? Tell me and I will avenge you. The man who delivered the letter shook his head, I don't know, I can't tell. I only know that those people are well trained and use lethal killing techniques. They must be first-rate military masters. 5 of my comrades died in their hands in order to cover me. When he said the last sentence, the man who delivered the message had red eyes and was a little unwilling. Ye Wuwei's body trembled, and he made a military salute to the man who delivered the message uprightly. Seeing this, Ye Lu also saluted. It is both a tribute and a farewell. The basement was very quiet and the atmosphere was somewhat tragic. Ye Wuwei unfolded the letter and saw some personnel information listed on it. Apart from this, there is no other useful news. After reading the list, Ye Wuwei frowned slightly. The fourth seat is the mysterious Wolong. He didn't disclose any other information in the letter. Since there is no other information, why was this messenger team intercepted? Something weird. Ye Wuwei looked at the man who delivered the message and said, Do you have any other instructions for the fourth seat? Or is there any hint? The breath of the man who delivered the message became weaker and weaker, and it seemed that it was becoming difficult to even breathe. Hearing this, he shook his head slightly, No. After a pause, the man who delivered the message seemed to have recalled something, and said feebly, When I left, the fourth seat said 2 words to me, Goodbye. There was something profound about his expression. Maybe it's not just for me, but for you as well. Goodbye? Did the fourth seat provide some secret information that put himself in danger? Ye Wuwei's mind moved, he picked up the letter paper again and looked at it carefully. This time, Ye Wuwei saw some clues. These two pieces of stationery are not only a list of personnel, but also a secret book. If he deciphered it according to the secret language technique he used in Dragon Fang, he should be able to decipher the message that the fourth seat wanted to convey. This list must have been reviewed by other members of the Council of Elders before it was sent out. Could it be that when it was issued, other members of the Council of Elders did not find anything wrong with this list? After the list was sent out, some problems were discovered, so people were sent to intercept and kill them? Thinking of this, Ye Wuwei frowned. Although other possibilities are not ruled out. But this is extremely possible. The traitor hiding among the top leaders of the Dragon Kingdom may really be in the Council of Elders. Boss, he's dead. At this time, Ye Liu's voice sounded. Ye Wuwei looked at the man who delivered the message and found that the man had closed his eyes. Seeing this, Ye Wuwei sighed, let's bury him secretly. Where was he found? Does anyone else know of his existence? Ye Liu thought for a moment and said, it was found outside the wall of the backyard. There is a cliff over the backyard, and the distance from the cliff to Longjiang is only 500 or 600 meters. He should have swam along the Longjiang River, and then took advantage of the night to hide and come to the outside of the Dragon Palace. I saw that his identity was unusual, and I didn't let anyone else discover it. No one knows he exists except me. Hearing these words, Ye Wuwei nodded. No one else knows that the list has been sent, so that's easy. He could pretend that he had not received the list and investigate in secret while observing the reaction from the imperial capital. Thinking of this, Ye Wuwei said in a deep voice, bury him secretly as soon as possible and don't tell anyone about him. In addition, let the intelligence department pay close attention to the imperial capital in the near future, especially the fourth seat, focus on it. If there is not enough manpower, let Ye bring his people to Daxia. A pest lurking inside Daxia is far more destructive than forces outside the territory. Therefore, Ye Wuwei decided to focus his next work on Daxia. It was time for the intelligence network that Ye Wuwei spent a lot of money to build for Ye to operate at full capacity. Yes. Ye Liukan shouted and left with the body of the man who delivered the message. Ye Wuwei put the list in his pocket and walked out of the basement. Arriving outside the luxurious residential building, Ye Wuwei saw the bright lights inside and vaguely heard someone talking. When I opened the door, I saw 3 middle-aged people chatting in the spacious living room. In addition to Li Qingyan's parents, Li Xian and Lu Yuehua, Ye Wuwei knew another person. It turned out to be someone who had a relationship with Ye Wuwei before in Zhongcheng, Zhang Jinwei. Fearless, you are back. Come and sit here and say hello to your uncle Zhang. Seeing that Ye Wuwei was back, Lu Yuehua quickly motioned for the latter to come over. Now she is satisfied with everything Ye Wuwei looks like. As soon as these words came out, Zhang Jinwei was so frightened that his body trembled. This is a towering figure who single-handedly shocked the whole of Great Xia. How can I deserve to be called his uncle? The image of Ye Wuwei casually blasting Jiangqing's top master Wang Qiuhua from the air with the palm of his hand is still vivid in his mind. Chapter 64. I can't do it, I can't do it. Zhang Jinwei quickly stood up and waved his hands repeatedly. At this time, Ye Wuwei had recognized Zhang Jinwei. He now knows that when Li Qingyan and Nian Nian lived in Zhongcheng, Zhang Jinwei's family took great care of Li Qingyan. Especially Zhang Jinwei's daughter Zhang Shuet, she almost treats Nian Nian as her own daughter. So there is no problem at all in calling Zhang Jinwei uncle. Ye Wuwei smiled, nodded slightly towards Zhang Jinwei, and said, hello, Uncle Zhang. Looking at Ye Wuwei who was smiling at this moment, Zhang Jinwei secretly breathed a sigh of relief. It is hard to imagine that this young man with a gentle smile is the same person as the former murderous master of the Temple of Punishment in the Black Dragon Gang. Okay, hello. Zhang Jinwei was still a little nervous, and his voice trembled uncontrollably. Seeing this, Ye Wuwei smiled faintly, looked at Lu Yuehua, and asked, Auntie, where is Qingyan? She drank a lot tonight. I'll go up and see her. Lu Yuehua pointed to the stairs, it's upstairs, hurry up. Ye Wuwei nodded and quickly came to the second floor. As soon as I arrived on the second floor, I heard a burst of exclamation coming from a room. What? Was he so majestic then? Wow, Dad is so awesome, it's a pity I didn't see it. The people who exclaimed were Nian Nian in a female voice that Ye Wuwei had never heard before. If nothing else, it should be Li Qingyan's good friend Zhang Shuet. Soon, Li Qingyan's somewhat proud voice came out, of course, how could I make it up? You don't know that the Bajiquan master took the initiative, and Wuwei just stood there calmly, motionless, not even moving a hair. He didn't make any move. The Bajiquan master just bounced away and then surrendered. If I hadn't known that they didn't know each other, I would have thought they were playing fake punches. As soon as these words came out, there was another wave of exclamation, no way. Even a martial arts master can't beat him? And he won easily. Did he force the martial arts master back with his eyes? Impossible, absolutely impossible. I would rather believe that Ye Wuwei took action, but you didn't see it clearly, and you don't believe that he can fight off a martial arts master without moving. Li Qingyan, why are you lying to me? I saw it with my own eyes, how can it be false? Nian Nian defended Ye Wuwei very much and said loudly, Aunt Shuet, my father is so powerful. He is the most powerful. The door of the room. Hearing the conversation in the room, Ye Wuwei couldn't help but want to laugh. Unexpectedly, his image in the minds of Qingyan and Nian Nian was so great. Tuk tuk. Ye Wuwei raised his hand and knocked twice on the door. Li Qingyan's voice came out, who? It's me. Nian Nian, go and open the door quickly. Soon, the door opened. Nian Nian threw herself into Ye Wuwei's arms and giggled, Dad, you're back. Ye Wuwei nodded with a smile, picked up Nian Nian, kissed the little guy's pink cheek, and asked with a smile, do you miss Daddy? Nian Nian nodded vigorously, think. Then, Ye Wuwei walked into the room holding Nian Nian. As soon as he came in, he saw Li Qingyan lying weakly on the bed. A beautiful woman in white stood beside the bed, rolling her eyes at Li Qingyan while opening and closing her mouth but making no sound. Judging from the shape of his mouth, he should be saying, are you going to be so fake? The woman in white is Zhang Shuet. Hearing Ye Wuwei's voice, Li Qingyan, who had been lively just now, suddenly shrank into the quilt, acting very delicate. This left Zhang Shuet speechless. In the past, when there were no men, Li Qingyan was stronger than men. Now the man is back, extremely squeamish. Li Qingyan responded with the same mouth, you don't understand. Zhang Shuet, a single, doesn't understand that in front of men, you have to be weak when you should be weak. Then, Li Qingyan turned her head to look at Ye Wuwei and said, you're back. This is my good sister Zhang Shuet, thanks to her taking care of me in Zhongcheng. Hello, my name is Ye Wuwei. Ye Wuwei smiled lightly and nodded at Zhang Shuet. Hello. Zhang Shuet responded, then looked at Ye Wuwei curiously. Such a young martial arts master? Simply unbelievable. Under Zhang Shuet's curious and amazed gaze, Ye Wuwei walked to the bedside, touched Li Qingyan's forehead, and asked with concern, are you still dizzy? Seeing Ye Wuwei's concerned eyes, Li Qingyan felt warm in her heart and whispered, I'm still a little dizzy, just take a nap and I'll be fine. Hearing this, Ye Wuwei withdrew his gaze, looked at Zhang Shuet, and said solemnly, I was in Zhongcheng before, thanks to you for taking care of Nian Nian and Qingyan. If you encounter trouble in the future, Ye will do his best to help. Zhang Shuet waved her hand grandly, don't be so polite. Sisters should help each other. Ye Wuwei nodded, said nothing more, and silently kept this kindness in his heart. After chatting for a while, Li Qingyan pushed Ye Wuwei and said, your room has been packed out and is next door. Go to bed quickly, we still have to talk privately. Okay. Ye Wuwei stood up with a smile and was about to leave. At this time, Nian Nian looked at Li Qingyan with a confused face and asked innocently, Mom, shouldn't Dad sleep with us? The other children's parents all sleep together. Nian Nian's little mind was filled with big question marks. Li Qingyan blushed and said in a panic, don't talk nonsense, we are not married yet, so we cannot sleep together. Dad and Mom should sleep together. Nian Nian accepted the truth. Because other children's parents sleep together. Zhang Shuet suppressed her laughter, touched Nian Nian's head, and said with a smile, the three of us will sleep together tonight, and there will be no room for your father. Nian Nian looked at the big bed next to her and said seriously, you can squeeze. Before he finished speaking, Li Qingyan and Zhang Shuet hurriedly covered the little guy's mouth. Ye Wuwei smiled and shook his head, secretly saying something childlike. Then he went to the next room. He did not turn on the light, but walked calmly in the darkness and came to the desk. With the help of the faint moonlight from the window, Ye Wuwei took out the 2 lists and kept writing and drawing on a blank piece of paper. As the characters were parsed one by one, Ye Wuwei's brows gradually furrowed. I'm not going to die soon. Strict investigation. Heaven, Earth, Source, Qi. Traitor. Hidden in the Senate. If the aristocratic family is not eliminated, Daxia will be in danger. The 4th seat has realized that he is in danger. Heaven, Earth, Source, and Qi should be the 4 secret organizations. The Source should be the source organization where Zhao Fenjian is located. The statement that the traitor was hiding in the Elders Association confirmed Ye Wuwei's previous suspicion. The last sentence was unclear. Ye Wuwei didn't understand it for the time being. Is there a problem with a certain aristocratic family, or is it a problem with all the aristocratic families in Daxia? Ye Wuwei sat quietly at his desk, thoughts racing in his mind. After an unknown amount of time, Ye Wuwei sorted out his thoughts, took out his cell phone, sent the list to Ye Yi, and ordered Ye Yi to take people into Daxia overnight. Something happened to the previous 4th seat. This 4th seat is in danger again. The traitor hiding in the Council of Elders must be uncovered as quickly as possible. Ye Wuwei will not give up until he kills that BD with his own hands. Chapter 65. The next day. Early morning. Ye Wuwei woke up from his sleep. This was my first sleep at home, and it was also the most peaceful sleep I've had in years. Perhaps because his loved ones and daughter were by his side, Ye Wuwei slept soundly that night. After walking out of the room, Ye Wuwei saw a small figure squatting at the door of his room. It was none other than Nian Nian. Dad, you wake up. When Nian Nian heard the door open, she immediately stood up and looked at Ye Wuwei happily, with a bright smile on her face. Ye Wuwei was confused. Nian Nian, why are you squatting at the door? Nian Nian said seriously, you are working very hard, I can't disturb your sleep. But I really want to see you soon, so I'll wait for you at the door. Look, when you open the door, I see you. Seeing Nian Nian's serious expression and hearing Nian Nian's words, Ye Wuwei's heart twitched. His eyes were red. He picked up Nian Nian and said softly, you don't have to do this in the future. If you miss Dad, you can open the door and go in at any time. Dad will be very happy when he sees you, and all sleepiness will disappear. Okay. Nian Nian nodded vigorously. Looking at his well-behaved and sensible daughter, Ye Wuwei rubbed the little guy's head and asked, where's Mom? Nian Nian made a gesture. Mom got up early and went to work. She said she wanted to make a lot of money and let you spend it as you like. Hearing this, Ye Wuwei laughed dumbly. It seems that Qingyan wants to turn herself into a pretty boy. Other side. Li Group. Li Qingyan arrived at the company early in the morning. As soon as she entered the office, the financial director who was beaten yesterday ran in with excitement and said in surprise, Chairman, I still can't believe that the money Kong Hai who owed us has actually been returned. Moreover, a lot more interest was transferred. Li Qingyan smiled slightly, there is 1 million in your medical expenses. The financial director was startled, touched the gauze on his head, and said in amazement, it doesn't even cost 1 million. It's useful. Li Qingyan said seriously, you deserve this. In addition, the 2 bodyguards who went to the friendship group with us yesterday and were beaten also have 1 million each. Ah, the financial director was stunned. Did this pie-in-the-sky thing really happen? He could get 1 million for a beating, and he was willing to be beaten every day. Seeing the shocked expression of the financial director, Li Qingyan smiled slightly, with this money, the group should be able to tide over the current difficulties. She had just taken over the Li Group and could not cover everything. Many things have to be consulted with the company's senior management. Hearing this, the financial director came to his senses, thought for a moment, and said, if it is to maintain the operation of the group, this money is enough. However, it is still not enough to get out of the predicament. The biggest problem now is that many companies are unwilling to cooperate with us. If you keep resting on your laurels, you won't be able to hold on for long. Li Qingyan nodded slightly, frowning in thought. She also knows this problem. The only solution for now is to find a way to break the situation. However, at least there is no need to worry now. At this moment, there was a noise outside. Li Qingyan looked at the door of the office and saw Li Rumen and Wei Dong walking in arrogantly with a few bodyguards. Li Rumen sat on the sofa very naturally, looked at Li Qingyan behind the desk, and asked playfully, how does it feel to take over such a mess? Li Qingyan frowned, who allowed you to come in? Go out. Li Rumen's mouth tightened. Tisk, 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 it's different now that I took over the Li group. It's more prestigious. It's a pity that what I took over was a thatched house that leaked air everywhere. I have a few orders here. If you're in a good mood, I can make them for you. Are you sure you want to talk to your god like this? Li Rumen was naturally not so kind. She came over early in the morning because she heard that Li Qingyan had paid the bill yesterday and came to see a joke. Is it possible to pry money out of those people's mouths? The so-called order was just for entertainment for Li Qingyan. In Li Rumen's opinion, Li Qingyan must have been extremely busy and sweating profusely on the first day he took over this mess. Li Qingyan didn't believe that Li Rumen would be so kind. She said calmly, "No need." Li Rumen crossed his arms and said with a half-smile, "Seriously? The Li Group's capital chain is broken, but it owes a lot of money." Wei Dong sneered and said, "That Ma Fiyang can't protect himself now. I can't imagine how you still have the confidence to talk to us like this." Seeing the faces of the two people, the financial director said coldly, "You two outsiders don't need to worry. The chairman has just received a debt of 50 million, and the group's capital chain has been connected." As soon as these words came out, Li Rumen and Wei Dong's eyes bulged and they looked at each other. The next second, Li Rumen laughed out loud, "Do you think I'm a fool? I still don't know the accounts of the Li Group? There is no account of 50 million at all. I would like to see how long you can keep your stubbornness." At this moment, an assistant came to the door of the office and said respectfully, Chairman Zhang of Galaxy Group is here with a lot of gifts." At this time, a rough voice came from the corridor, "Miss Li, where is Miss Li? Take me to Miss Li quickly." Li Qingyan looked confused, "What does the chairman of Galaxy Group want me to do?" "Looking for you." Li Rumen sneered, stood up, straightened his clothes, and said confidently, "The Galaxy Group is still relying on the Li Group's money, so why are they looking for you? Pay back the money. How shameless you are! Of course you came to see me." He must know that Wei Dong has become the general manager of Wei Group and wants to come and get closer to him. As soon as I got here, he followed me. It seems that he has been paying attention to my whereabouts. With that said, Li Rumen confidently walked towards the office door. Soon, a middle-aged man sweating profusely rushed into the office. Behind him were several people, all carrying gifts. This person is none other than Zhang Xianlei, chairman of Galaxy Group. Li Rumen's eyes lit up when she saw Zhang Xianlei bringing so many gifts. Quite sincere. Li Rumen smiled and said, "Chairman Zhang, what do you want from me?" Zhang first took a look at Li Rumen and asked tentatively, "Are you Miss Li?" Li Rumen smiled and nodded. Zhang Xianlei waved his hand, "Quick, put these gifts in. Miss Li, please don't despise your kindness. You must accept it." Li Rumen immediately beamed and said with a sweet smile, "It's easy to say, it's easy to say, it will cost you money." Zhang Xianlei shook his head vigorously, "Everywhere, it should be done." After that, he took out a bank card, presented it with both hands, and said, "This is the amount owed by Galaxy Group, please pay it back double." Ah! Li Rumen was confused, his head was in a mess. Debt? Seeing this, Zhang Xianlei noticed something and said cautiously, "Aren't you Miss Li Qingyan Li?" The financial director said solemnly, "Her name is Li Rumen." As he spoke, he pointed to Li Qingyan behind the desk and said, "This is the new chairman of our Li Group, Miss Li Qingyan." Zhang Xianlei's face froze, he pushed Li Rumen away and said angrily, "Get out of my way. It's not Miss Li Qingyan, why are you joining in the fun here?" After saying that, Zhang Xianlei walked towards Li Qingyan with his bank card in hand with an apologetic smile on his face. Looking at Zhang Xianlei's back, Li Rumen instantly turned to stone. Li Rumen. Chapter 66. Ms. Li, this is the amount owed by Galaxy Group. I'm really sorry that I owed the Li Group for so long, so I'll pay it back double. These gifts are my little thoughts, please accept them. Zhang Xianlei stood in front of Li Qingyan, holding his bank card in both hands with an extremely respectful expression. Seeing this scene, Li Qingyan's face was full of surprise. Zhang Xianlei, the chairman of Galaxy Group, is also considered the #1 figure in Dragon City. Otherwise, it would be impossible for the Li Group to delay paying back its debts. Why are you apologizing and repaying me twice as much today? This double repayment smacks of déjà vu. Li Qingyan's eyes flashed and she said calmly, "Chairman Zhang, why did you suddenly come to pay back the money today? She could roughly guess some situations. It was probably Ye Wuwei who did it. Li Qingyan felt warm in her heart. He always did his own things silently and never said much. Hearing this, Zhang Xianlei looked embarrassed and said with an embarrassed smile, I didn't pay attention to this aspect before, and I didn't know I owed the Li Group money. I only found out yesterday that I owed money, so I came over to pay it back as soon as possible today. Li Qingyan pursed her lips and smiled, knowing that what Zhang Xian was telling lies was nonsense, so she did not expose it. Li Rumen was furious after hearing this. She ignored the embarrassment and said sharply, Come first, Zhang, are you sure you didn't know this before? When my father was in charge, he personally went to Galaxy Group to ask you for an account. You made him wait in the office all day without seeing you, and now you say you don't know. Li Rumen was furious. Her father, Li Tianming, used to work as the general manager of the Li Group and lost a lot of hair for these debts. Now this BD says he doesn't know. You don't know that your grandma has legs. This was not the point where Li Rumen went berserk. What really made Li Rumen go berserk was that just after Li Qingyan took over the Li Group, the BD Zhang Xianlei remembered the debt. Not only did he come to apologize in person, he also doubled the repayment. Li Rumen's heart was extremely unbalanced. Why? I thought that what Li Qingyan took over was a mess, but it turned out that the mess turned into a treasure. Faced with Li Rumen's angry glare, Zhang Xianlei ignored him. He thought to himself, where the hell did this crazy woman come from? At this moment, Zhang Xianlei only had one important thing on his mind, which was to ask Li Qingyan to accept his bank card and accept his apology. Ms. Li, please accept this bank card quickly. If you don't accept it anymore, I will kneel down to you. Zhang Xianlei was very anxious. He really didn't want to see the man from last night again. That indifferent look is like Yama, who controls countless lives and deaths, and can decide between lives and deaths in an instant. That man was so terrifying that even Wang Biao was submissive. He would rather die than face that man again. Li Qingyan stood up and said with a smile, Thank you, Chairman Zhang. After that, he reached out and took the bank card. Zhang Xianlei was ecstatic in his heart and waved his hands repeatedly, everywhere, repaying debts is a natural and right thing to do. You are busy first, I won't disturb you. Li Qingyan smiled and nodded, Go slowly. I'll give it to you. No, don't be so polite. Goodbye, Miss Li. Zhang Xianlei wiped the sweat from his forehead and quickly left with a few of his men. Looking at Zhang Xianlei's back, Li Rumen gritted his teeth in anger. This BD now knows that it is natural to pay back debts. Why didn't he have this awareness before? Zhang Xianlei's ignoring attitude made her lungs almost explode with anger. Li Rumen suddenly turned around and stared at Li Qingyan, and said coldly, Li Qingyan, what kind of ecstasy soup did you give Zhang Xianlei? How did his attitude change so drastically? Li Qingyan looked calm and said calmly, You are no longer a member of the Li family, why do you care about the Li Group? You. Li Rumen was speechless. It's only been a few days. This identity has changed. He was stunned for a moment. Snort. Li Rumen snorted coldly and counterattacked, unwilling to be outdone, Don't be proud. The little money Zhang Xianlei paid back is far from being able to make up for the hole in the Li Group. At this time, there was another noise outside. Where is Ms. Li's office? Why haven't you arrived yet? Hearing this, Li Rumen's expression changed slightly. Is there anyone else looking for Li Qingyan? Are you here to pay back the money? Soon, a receptionist panted and ran to the door of the office and said quickly, Chairman Yang Wei of Weian Group is here. As soon as he finished speaking, Yang Wei hurried out of the office with a group of people. This time, the financial director has experience. He glanced at Li Rumen, looked at Yang Wei, and said, Chairman Yang, this is Miss Li Qingyan, the new chairman of our Li Group. This meaningful look, coupled with the words in a somewhat strange tone, made Li Rumen's face turn red with embarrassment. The embarrassing scene just now came to mind again, constantly torturing her sense of shame. Yang Wei walked into the office quickly and said quickly, Bring all the gifts in. After that, he looked at Li Qingyan with an apologetic smile on his face, respectfully handed over a bank card, and said, Ms. Li, this is the debt owed by Weian Group. It owes 10 million, with an interest of 10 million, a total of 210 million. When we first met, this gift was a little thought from Yang. These gifts have almost piled up into a mountain, and they are more than just a little thought. Li Qingyan took the bank card and saw that one of Yang Wei's arms was in a plaster, and said curiously, Chairman Yang was injured and he came to pay back the money in person. This is so sincere. Yang Wei stiffened and laughed dryly, I accidentally fell down. It's a minor injury. It's not a problem. You're busy, so I won't bother you anymore. Yang Wei didn't dare to stay for a long time, for fear that if he said something wrong, the man would come to settle the score with him. That is a ruthless person who will destroy himself without even saying a word. Yang Wei left just as quickly as he came, and soon disappeared without a trace. Li Rumen is sour. The jealousy in my heart was shattered. Why? Yang Wei is a real big shot, why would he come to give money in person and repay double the amount? There must be a ghost. But he just said that it was his first meeting with Li Qingyan, which meant that he had never seen Li Qingyan before. What exactly is going on? When Li Rumen felt sad, someone came to pay back the money. These people seemed to have made an appointment, one after another, in an endless stream. More than 10 minutes later, Li Qingyan collected all the debts. Seeing that Li Rumen hadn't left yet, Li Qingyan raised her eyebrows and said, Why are you still here? Do you want me to have someone blast you away? At this time, Li Rumen's face was livid, because the people who paid back the money had never looked down upon her before. Now she was respectful to Li Qingyan. Hearing the sound, Li Rumen's face turned blue and white, and he snorted coldly, Let's see how long you can be proud of it. The old lady celebrates her birthday tomorrow night, and third uncle and brother Tiger will be back. Brother Hu will be promoted to the general of the Central Region War Department immediately. The new head of the Li family must be Brother Hu. When Brother Hu becomes the head of the family, can you still stay in the Li family? The more debt you can collect now, the happier I will be. By the way, when you are kicked out of the Li family again, don't be in a hurry to leave Dragon City. It's the end of the month now. You are welcome to attend Wei Dong and I's grand wedding early next month. It won't be too late to have a drink before leaving. Li Rumen and Li Hu have always had a good relationship, so she dared to say these words. Li Qingyan looked calm and said, But you don't look very happy. Are you done? When you're done, go out. It's not your turn as an outsider to make irresponsible remarks about my Li family's affairs. You. Li Rumen was so angry that he went crazy. Because Li Qingyan didn't talk to her according to the normal thinking at all. Her attacks seemed to hit the cotton, without any lethality. Let's go. Li Rumen didn't want to stay here for a moment and asked Wei Dong to leave. After the birthday party tomorrow night, everything I lost will be back. Li Rumen secretly looked forward to the birthday banquet. Chapter 67. Noon. Li Qingyan returned to Dragon Palace for lunch. As soon as I passed through the gate of the Dragon Palace, I saw Nian Nian chasing Ye Wuwei on the lawn, playing happily. Li Qingyan shouted, Nian Nian, Wuwei, I'm back. Hearing this, Nian Nian and Ye Wuwei stopped chasing in the distance. Soon, Ye Wuwei came to Li Qingyan holding Nian Nian in his arms. Mom, I miss you so much. Nian Nian suddenly threw herself into Li Qingyan's arms and rubbed her little face against Li Qingyan's. Li Qingyan twitched the corner of her mouth and thought to herself, You and your father laughed so happily together, you must have completely forgotten me. This sweet mouth is up to your father. Li Qingyan pinched Nian Nian's pink little face and said gently, Mom misses you too. After that, she looked at Ye Wuwei and asked, Where are Xiaoxiu and Uncle Zhang? Ye Wuwei put his arms around his family's slender waist and walked to the living room while saying, I went out early in the morning. I said the market in Zhongcheng is too small. I went out to select a location and plan to open a security company in Longcheng. Oh, Xiaoxiu said this last night. Li Qingyan nodded, understanding in her heart. Zhang Shui and Zhang Jinwei came to Longcheng this time for two reasons. The first is to come see Li Qingyan and Nian Nian. The second is to prepare to bring Jinwei Group's security business to Longcheng. In the morning, Ye Wuwei also had a private conversation with Zhang Jinwei. Because Zhang Jinwei had inquired in many places, he already knew how terrifying Ye Wuwei's temple of execution was outside the territory. He also knew that the previous shocks in Zhongcheng and Longcheng were not official military exercises, but in response to Ye Wuwei. He didn't tell Zhang Shui this kind of thing that seemed negative to him. Therefore, facing the fierce and powerful lord of the temple of execution, Zhang Jinwei was always frightened when talking. Ye Wuwei didn't say much at that time, but one of his heroic words made Zhang Jinwei's heart tremble. As long as the Temple of Punishment remains, the Zhang family will be prosperous for the rest of their lives. Ye Wuwei has always remembered Zhang Jinwei's heroic actions in the Black Dragon Gang. He repays those who are kind to him. Those who have a grudge against him will repay him 100-fold. After Ye Wuwei said those words, Zhang Jinwei suddenly had the confidence to gain a foothold in Dragon City. Then he hurriedly took Zhang Shui out to choose a location. This is the promise of the Lord of the Temple of Execution. Ye Wuwei and the other three entered the living room and saw Li Xian and Lu Yuehua serving dishes to the table. Seeing the three people coming in, Lu Yuehua said with a smile, "Hurry and wash your hands. Let's start dinner right away." After that, he turned around and walked into the kitchen. By the time Ye Wuwei and the others finished washing their hands, all the food was on the table. While eating, Lu Yuehua and Li Xian received many calls. Li Qingyan was greatly surprised and said in surprise, "Dad, Mom, why are you busier than me?" Lu Yuehua put down her phone and frowned. "I don't know who leaked the news that Li Hu will be promoted to a one-star general in the Central Region War Department. Many relatives are asking me if it's true. And there is a rumor out there that there will be many dignitaries going to congratulate Li Hu at tomorrow's birthday party. They also said that after Li Hu showed such great influence, the old lady will definitely announce that he will become the head of the Li family tomorrow." Speaking of this, Lu Yuehua sighed and said worriedly, "The eldest family and the third family always wear jumpsuits. If Li Hu really becomes the head of the Li family, the eldest family might return to the Li family. The old lady's decision to let you take over the Li group may be overturned by Li Hu." Hearing this, Li Qingyan sighed softly, then cheered up again and smiled forcefully, "Mom, don't worry about things that haven't happened yet. No matter what happens in the future, live the present moment first." Li Qingyan said it lightly, but her heart was inevitably heavy. At the whole dinner table, Ye Wuwei and Nian Nian were the most active in cooking. Ye Wuwei would pick up a chopstick for Nian Nian from time to time, and then pick up a chopstick for himself, with smooth movements. The father and daughter were concentrating on eating, and Li Qingyan greatly admired their unobtrusive attitude towards eating. Watching this scene quietly, Li Qingyan's mood gradually became less heavy. She figured it out. As long as the family is together, it doesn't seem that important whether Li Hu will become the head of the Li family or whether he can continue to be in charge of the Li group. The worst case scenario is to start over and start your own business. With so much compensation on hand, it shouldn't be difficult to get started. Feeding this family is not a big problem. Thinking of this, Li Qingyan exhaled a breath, picked up some chopsticks for Nian Nian, and said with a smile, "Eat quickly, eat quickly." Nian Nian raised her head with a sad face, "Mom, please stop picking up food for me. Dad eats so fast, I can't even finish it." Well, Li Qingyan's head was covered with black lines. It turns out that this little guy was forced to eat so seriously. If you don't eat it quickly, you won't be able to put it in the bowl. Nian Nian lived a hard life and never wasted food. After a short silence, everyone burst into laughter, all amused by Nian Nian's little expression. Outside world. The news that Li Hu was about to be promoted to a one-star general in the Central Region War Department spread like wildfire. The news spread from 100 to 100, and soon it became a hubbub. At the same time, a mysterious person leaked that Li Hu would return to Dragon City tomorrow because the old lady of the Li family was celebrating her birthday tomorrow. At the same time, some things from the previous engagement party between the Li family and the Wei family were exposed. The fact that Li Tianming and other direct members of the Li family were kicked out of the Li family was originally handled in a low-key manner, and not many people knew about it. Not many people knew about Li Qingyan's family's return to the Li family. But now, with the help of thoughtful people, these three things have been revealed to all the people of Longcheng. Have you heard? Li Qingyan, the laughingstock of Longcheng before, is back and has returned to the Li family. I know. I heard that she invited a group of outsiders to publicly force the old lady of the Li family, drive her uncle's family out of the Li family, and return to the Li family herself. Sigh, it's not appropriate to ask outsiders to interfere in your own affairs. It's not only inappropriate, it's simply psychologically distorted. After all, he is my uncle. Is this the version you heard? Why did I hear that Li Qingyan was humiliated first, and then someone stood up for her? Whitewashing. It must be whitewashing. Your version is too fake. How could Li Qingyan be humiliated when she has such a strong backer? That makes sense. Tomorrow's Li family is expected to be very lively, and there will definitely be a lot of big shots there. Let's go and have a look then. Various rumors were rampant, and there were obviously more negative rumors about Li Qingyan. Governor's Palace. Zhangzhou Governor Lu Pianan was drinking tea and checking documents. Just then, the landline phone on his desk rang. Hello. Commander Hu. Why did you call me suddenly? On the other end of the phone, Hu Dianchen, dressed in military uniform, frowned and said, "Aren't you paying attention to the rumors about Dragon City? It's all negative news about Miss Li Qingyan." Lu Pianan's expression changed slightly. No one told me. Li Qingyan, that is the woman who killed the master of the temple. Who is so brave and dares to spread negative news about her? Hu Dianchen said in a deep voice, "Handle it quickly, don't make that person angry. For tomorrow's birthday party, I suggest you go to the Li family to clear Miss Li's name." Lu Pianan nodded repeatedly, okay, I'll go there tomorrow, will you go? Hu Dianchen nodded, I will go too. The War Dragon medal given to Palace Master Ye from above will arrive tomorrow. I will deliver it to everyone tomorrow night. After saying that, Hu Dianchen hung up the phone. Lu Pianan took a deep breath and was stunned. Battle. Battle Dragon Medal? Chapter 68. Time flies. In the expectation of countless people in Dragon City. The birthday party is coming. Li's house is decorated with lights and colorful decorations everywhere, and many red lanterns are hung on the treetops outside, creating a festive atmosphere. There were already many luxury cars parked in the parking lot outside Li's house. Li Hu was promoted to a one-star general in the Central Region War Department. This was a great event for the entire Dragon City, and many respectable people came to support him. Secretly, many people called Li Hu the future star of the Central Region War Department. Li Hu will definitely lead the Li family to glory again. At Li Hu's age, he can become a one-star general, and his future is immeasurable. The front door of Li's house. A burly man and a middle-aged man with a red face were welcoming guests. The middle-aged man is none other than Li Jian, the third son of the old lady of the Li family. And the burly man is the future star who is about to be promoted to a one-star general in the Central Region War Department. Li Hu. While greeting the guests, Li Jian turned his head slightly and said, "Huer, the War Department has said hello, right? Are you sure someone from the War Department will come tonight?" Li Hu nodded, "Don't worry. We have communicated and the promotion documents will be sent tonight. My uncle and my second uncle have brought shame on the Li family, and I will pick it up." The evaluation process for Li Hu to be promoted to a one-star general was completed yesterday. However, he has been holding back on the promotion documents for generals and asked people from the War Department to send them over tonight. Li Jian breathed a sigh of relief and his smile became brighter, "Then I'll be relieved." Li Hu looked around and frowned, "Why haven't the second uncle's family come yet? Don't you even care about grandma's birthday party?" Li Jian's face darkened and he said coldly, "My family has been expelled from the Li family for several years. I guess they have resentment towards your grandma. Even if I return to the Li family now, I still don't have a sense of belonging." The words just fell. Li Hu said, "Here we come." He actually came on foot, and he was empty-handed and didn't bring any gifts. Li Jian followed Li Hu's gaze and saw 5 people walking in the distance. At the front is a jumping little girl. Behind them were a strange man and his niece Li Qingyan. At the end are Li Jian's second brother and sister-in-law, Li Xian and Lu Yuehua. Seeing Li Xian and his family walking slowly and chatting and laughing, Li Jian snorted coldly, "They are a warm family. That unfamiliar young man is probably the one who drove away Big Brother's family last time." Li Hu nodded, "I heard that this guy used to be a soldier, but now there is no trace of a soldier at all. Leave." Before he finished speaking, Li Hu suddenly raised his eyebrows. Because Ye Wuwei in the distance suddenly glanced at him. Although this look was calm, there was no trace of murderous intent. But Li Hu's heart was palpitating for no reason. This is an indescribable feeling. If you really want to describe it, it's like a little white rabbit being stared at by a Tyrannosaurus Rex. Li Hu's heart sank and he said nervously, "Dad, please be careful when you speak later. This person is very strong and probably not easy to mess with. Tonight is Grandma's birthday party, don't make it too tense. After tonight, I will have a good chat with him as a general." Hearing this, Li Jian's eyes flashed with a hint of surprise. Li Hu was able to be promoted to a one-star general because of his proper operation and another very important reason. That is, Li Hu is now the third-level martial arts king, and is about to enter the second-level martial arts master realm. If his son, who he is proud of, can be said to be strong, then this guy may be really capable. It didn't take long. Ye Wuwei and others came to the front door of Li's house. Li Jian first looked at Ye Wuwei, then looked at Li Xian and said coldly, "Second brother, you're so early." Li Xian's face was slightly stiff, and he was about to explain, but Lu Yuehua took over the topic and said tit for tat, "It's quite early, and the table hasn't opened yet. I'll go back and take a nap. Call me when the party starts." After saying that, Lu Yuehua turned around and left. Li Qingyan looked helpless, grabbed Lu Yuehua's hand and said, "Mom, don't do this." Li Jian's face turned livid with anger, "Second sister-in-law, today is my mother's birthday party. I don't want to quarrel with you, lest people make a joke. You guys go in and sit down, I'm still here to welcome guests." Lu Yuehua smiled coldly and said with a strange air, "Then you stand here, it's a rare opportunity to show your filial piety, so do it well. Your second brother and I have to go in and sit down. After all, we hang around under the old lady's nose every day, and we have to wait for her for a long time." After moving to Dragon Palace, it was not far from Li's house, just the distance between the mountain and the bottom. Although Li Xian's personal ability is not strong, he is relatively filial. Zhang Chunlin has been in poor health recently. He has been running to Li's house frequently in the past 2 days and has been quite diligent. Li Jian was speechless. He has been working in Chengdu, and since he is far away from her, it is difficult for him to fulfill his filial piety next to the old lady. Seeing Li Jian gaping, Lu Yuehua snorted like a victorious general and walked into Li's house first. Li Qingyan called her third uncle and pulled Nian to follow. Ye Wuwei went in without even looking at Li Jian and Li Hu. After entering Li's house, Ye Wuwei was slightly surprised. The Li family has set up many tables, which extend from the reception hall to the small square outside. These tables are divided into 4 columns in total. The 2 rows in the middle are used to entertain guests invited by Li Jian and Li Xian. They are the only 2 members of the Li family's main line. The 2 rows on the edge were occupied by guests invited by the Li family. At this time, many people were already sitting in Li Jian's row. Li Xian's row was empty. Seeing this, Lu Yuehua's face turned ugly. She turned her head to look at Li Xian and said coldly, "What is going on? Didn't you come to see the old lady this morning? We have been so miserable in the past few years, how can we still have many customers? Isn't this deliberately embarrassing us?" Li Xian frowned and said, "I didn't say before that the guests should sit separately." At this time, Li Jian's voice sounded from behind the crowd, "Second brother, we have all married and started a business, and each of us has our own relationships. I personally think it's better to sit separately. I forgot to tell you about this before." Lu Yuehua said coldly, "You forgot on purpose." Li Jian looked calm and non-committal. Seeing this, Li Qingyan pursed her lips and gritted her teeth secretly. Third uncle is aware of his family's situation in recent years. Isn't this intentional to embarrass others? Ye Wuwei said calmly, "Take a seat. I have a bunch of friends coming over later." Hu Dianchen sent someone to cheer him up in advance, saying that the identity of the elder council had arrived and would be delivered tonight. Chapter 69. Many guests have already arrived in Li Xian's column and the 2 columns from the Li family. Seeing Li Qingyan's family appear, many people cast their gaze over. Seeing that Li Jian and Li Qingyan's family seemed to be arguing about something, the guests' eyes became meaningful. "That's Li Qingyan, she's quite pretty." With today's seating arrangement, the third son of the Li family wants to embarrass the second son of the Li family. There will be a good show tonight. Didn't someone say that the third son of the Li family wants to prove his influence and make his son Li Hu the head of the Li family? It would be funny if the second row of the Li family is full of seats later. All the guests were whispering to each other. Feeling the eyes of these guests watching the show, Li Xian and Lu Yuehua's faces didn't look good. Ye Wuwei didn't pay attention to these people's eyes at all. He held his head high and looked straight, and led everyone to sit down at the table at the front of Li Xian's row. As soon as I sat down, the comparison came out. Several tables were already occupied in the other 3 rows. Especially the guests in Li Jian's row sat in the square outside. As for Li Xian's row, including Ye Wuwei and others, the table was not yet full. This gap was so big that Li Xian, Lu Yuehua and Li Qingyan all looked a bit confused. Lu Yuehua was a little angry. She turned to look at Li Jian, who was already sitting at the next table, and said coldly, "Aren't you at the door to greet guests? Why are you in?" Li Jian knew that she was deliberately looking for trouble. The more unhappy Lu Yuehua is, the happier he feels. Li Jian smiled and said, "Most of the guests I invited are here. There are still a few important guests who will come later, so I will come in first to accompany the guests. Second sister-in-law, there aren't many people over there, how about I pass some of my guests over? So many seats are unoccupied, it's a bit of a waste." Li Jian knew that Lu Yuehua was not forgiving. "I was worried that the people inside wouldn't be able to handle it, so I followed up personally to deal with it." "Need not." Lu Yuehua snorted coldly and refused firmly. Hearing this, Li Jian's eyes flashed. This stimulating method is really useful. With the words Lu Yuehua, no one could say that he deliberately embarrassed Li Qingyan's family. Li Jian turned his attention to Ye Wuwei and said with a faint smile, "Qingyan, this young man looks strange, is he the boyfriend you are looking for?" Li Qingyan shook her head slightly, "Third uncle, his name is Ye Wuwei, and he is my fiancé. Although there is no formal engagement, she has agreed to marry Ye Wuwei, so she is naturally her fiancé." Li Jian pretended to be surprised and said in surprise, "Are you already engaged? You girl, you didn't even call me when you were engaged." After saying that, he turned his gaze to Ye Wuwei, put on the airs of an elder, and said calmly, "Wuwei, where do you think you are high up now?" Ye Wufeng didn't care about him, he only cared about himself and amused himself. For a character like Li Jian, normally he is not qualified to meet Ye Wuwei. If you talk to him, you will give him face. With Ye Wuwei's current status, he doesn't need to care about other people's feelings at all. Seeing this, Li Jian's face froze slightly, and he was a little worried about his face. He turned his attention to Li Xian and Lu Yuehua. Wait for Li Xian and Lu Yuehua to give him an explanation. However, both Li Xian and Lu Yuehua pretended not to know and didn't even look at him. Seeing the embarrassed expression on Li Jian's face, Li Qingyan secretly laughed in her heart. Wuwei is not as easy to talk to as his parents. If you mess with someone, you have to mess with him. Seeing Li Jian's complexion gradually darkening, Li Qingyan said slowly, "Third uncle, Wuwei is introverted and not good at words. Don't be surprised." As soon as these words came out, Li Xian and Lu Yuehua almost lost their composure. Introvert? Not good at words? This girl has a knack for making up lies. Li Jian snorted coldly and said no more. At this moment, a loud shout from the Li family's servant was heard from the other side of the door. Chairman Zhang Jinwei of Zhongcheng Jinwei Group is giving the old lady a pair of jade to ward off evil spirits. Please come inside. Jade to ward off evil spirits? That's generous enough. Hearing the sound, many guests turned their heads and looked towards the door. Ye Wuwei and others also looked over. Then, under the gazes of one after another, Zhang Jinwei and Zhang Shui walked over one after another. Li Xian and Li Qingyan quickly stood up and welcomed them over. Seeing the guests coming to Li Xian's side, Li Jian secretly frowned. Zhongcheng? Just a small remote town. Is it because we can't hire anyone with a good reputation in Longcheng? Many guests were surprised to see Zhang Jinwei and Zhang Shui being Li Xian's guests. I thought Li Xian couldn't invite anyone, but unexpectedly two people showed up. At this moment, another voice sounded from the other side of the door. Chairman Lu Jun of Longcheng Jinwei Group gives the old lady a jasper bracelet. Please come in. As soon as these words came out, Li Jian looked happy and immediately ran to the door, laughing and saying, "Director Lu, you have worked hard, please come in." Jinwei Group is a leading enterprise in Longcheng. Being able to invite Lu Jun here, Li Jian felt proud and proud. This is his network. This was not only showing Li Qingyan's family, but also showing his connections to everyone present. Lu Jun is here, this Li Jian is quite capable. Lu Jun has 3 listed companies under his command, and Jinwei Group is just one of them. It plays a decisive role in the Longcheng business community. Go over and say hello later and show your face in front of Director Lu. Hearing the whispers of the guests, Li Jian couldn't suppress the smile on his face. Originally, with Li Jian's influence, he would not have been able to invite Lu Jun. But when he heard that Li Hu was about to be promoted to a 1-star general in the Central Region War Department, Lu Jun gave him the honor. "Hello, Director Lu. Director Lu, you are well." Wherever Lu Jun passed, many guests took the initiative to say hello to him. Lu Jun, on the other hand, just nodded lightly, looking calm and indifferent, showing off his demeanor as a business tycoon. When Li Jian saw that Lu Jun was so proud, his face was full of joy and he smiled from ear to ear. After seating Lu Jun, Li Jian glanced at Li Qingyan and others with pride. How could a chairman of a small company in Zhongcheng be compared with Lu Jun? Li Jian's proud look made Li Xian and Lu Yuehua grit their teeth. What are you proud of? The villain succeeds. The president of the Zhongzhou Chamber of Commerce, the president of the Longcheng Business Association, and the chairman of Fei Yang Group, Ma Fei Yang, give the old lady a pair of East Daxia Sea jasper corals. I wish the old lady good fortune as in the East Daxia Sea and longevity as the Nanshan Mountains. Chairman Ma, please come in quickly. At this time, another communication sound came from the door. Upon hearing this long title and the words Ma Fei Yang, at least half of the guests present stood up. The horse is flying. The Zhao family was cleaned up, and after Zhao Filong, the former richest man in Zhongzhou, disappeared, Ma Fei Yang became the richest man in Zhongzhou. Not to mention the Longcheng business community, even in the entire Zhongzhou business community, Ma Fei Yang is the person standing at the top of the pyramid. Each guest looked towards the door excitedly, breathing gradually faster. Unexpectedly, Ma Fei Yang also came to tonight's birthday banquet. I didn't hear anything about it beforehand. Under the gazes of many eyes, Ma Fei Yang walked in with a calm and capable demeanor. Behind him were a group of people with high status in Longcheng's business community. They are all chairmen and board members of various groups. Li Jian hurried up to greet him and said excitedly, Chairman Ma is here to welcome you, but it's a shame to welcome him from afar. Ma Fei Yang smiled politely at him, then passed him by and walked straight towards Ye Wuwei. Chapter 70. Mr. Li. Mr. Yat. Ma Fei Yang has been ups and downs in the business world for many years and is very discerning. With just one glance, you can understand many things at the scene. He was the first to say hello to Li Xian, and then to Ye Wuwei. In this way, it gave Li Xian enough face. Giving face to Li Xian means giving face to Li Qingyan. Now that Li Qingyan has gained face, the wind will blow in her ears from now on. The group of business tycoons behind Ma Fei Yang are all talented people. Seeing this, they immediately said in unison, Mr. Li. Mr. Yat. Seeing so many business leaders greeting him, Li Xian was excited and nervous, and was shocked and speechless. Lu Yuehua pinched him quietly before he regained his clarity. Mr. Ma, please sit down quickly. Li Xian was so excited that he quickly asked Ma Fei Yang to sit at the main table. However, Ma Fei Yang shook his head modestly and said with a smile, I have a lot of old friends, so let's sit at a table alone. He knew very well that he was at the bottom of the circle of friends of the Lord of the Temple of Punishment. There will definitely be more awesome characters coming later. He and the group of business tycoons behind him were not qualified to sit at the main table. Okay, please take a seat. Li Xian quickly made an invitation gesture and asked Ma Fei Yang and others to sit down at a table behind the main table. Other side. Li Jian looked at Li Xian busy greeting the guests and stood there awkwardly. He had heard about the previous engagement party and knew that Ma Fei Yang had stood up for Li Qingyan. However, his first reaction just now was that Ma Fei Yang was targeting Li Hu, a quasi one-star future fighter. Unexpectedly, people directly ignored him. At this time, an even more embarrassing scene happened for Li Jian. His distinguished guest, Lu Jun, the chairman of Junwei Group who had just arrived, got up in a hurry and ran to Ma Fei Yang's side. President, you are here too. If I had known you were coming, I should have come with you. Not long ago, Lu Jun looked like a business tycoon. At this time, in front of Ma Fei Yang, he actually acted like a younger brother. The distinguished guest he is proud of is actually a younger brother of guest Li Xian. This made Li Jian panic. At this time, a scene that made Li Jian even more unhappy happened. I saw many high-status guests leaving their seats and quickly gathering towards Ma Fei Yang's table of business tycoons. Most of these guests were from his party. Seeing this, Li Jian gritted his teeth secretly, but was helpless. There is no way, Ma Fei Yang's status in Jiangzhou's business community is too high. It is rare for these guests who leave their seats to see a flying horse. I accidentally saw him here today, so naturally he had to go up and say hello and show his face. Because there were so many people coming to say hello, the order at the scene suddenly became chaotic. Li Jian felt depressed, but he still had to keep a smile on his face and asked the guests to sit back down. After a lot of effort, most of the guests reluctantly returned to their places. But there are still a few people who shamelessly sit in Li Xian's row. Li Jian was helpless about this. Master Chu of the Shanshan Martial Arts School is giving the old lady a bottle of 50-year-old dragon and phoenix wine. Please come in. At this time, another communication sound came from the door. Li Jian was overjoyed when he heard that people from Shanshan Martial Arts School were coming. Someone from the martial arts world is coming. Ma Fei Yang's status in the business world is so high that it is indeed incomparable. If the business world cannot compare with you, how can the martial arts world compare with you? Shanshan Martial Arts School is the only one in Dragon City. Many famous martial artists in Longcheng have learned martial arts at Shanshan Martial Arts School. Even the second-rate families in Longcheng would send their children to the Shanshan Martial Arts School to lay their foundations. The reason why we were able to invite people from the Shanshan Martial Arts School this time was because Li Hu had learned martial arts at the Shanshan Martial Arts School for several years. Under the gaze of each guest, Li Hu walked in accompanied by an old man with grey hair wearing a tang suit. This old man is none other than the owner of the Shanshan Martial Arts School, Chu Quanquo. Chu Quanquo has unique insights into martial arts training. Many famous martial artists have come out of Shanshan Martial Arts School, so he has a very high prestige in the Longcheng martial arts community. The most successful person to come out of Shanshan Martial Arts School will be Li Hu. The gold content of these 4 words, Great Xia War General, is unparalleled. This is the glory of Shanshan Martial Arts School. Therefore, Chu Quanquo brought people over to congratulate him in person. Behind Chu Quanquo and Li Hu, there are also big names in the martial arts world of Longcheng, all of whom are here to support Li Hu. Director Chu, I haven't seen you for a long time, but you still look so good. Quickly, hurry up and get to the main table. Li Jian's face was full of joy and he welcomed Chu Quanquo to the main table. When passing by Li Xian, Li Jian raised his chin slightly, his pride evident in his expression. Daxia's martial arts flourished, and warriors had a high status. With so many people coming from the martial arts world, the face is enough. Li Xian gritted his teeth and said nothing. Li Qingyan is actually quite talented in martial arts. But it costs a lot to train an excellent warrior. Being poor in literature and rich in martial arts is not just a matter of words. Li Xian also wanted to send Li Qingyan to Shanshan Martial Arts School before, but was opposed. It is said that the Li family has been under great financial pressure in recent years and cannot spend too much spare money. In addition, Li Qingyan is a girl and will get married sooner or later, so sending her to practice martial arts is also to make wedding clothes for others. Li Qingyan is smart and has good academic performance. She just needs to study hard. Therefore, only a few boys from the main line of the Li family were sent to Shanshan Martial Arts School to practice martial arts. Among these boys, only Li Hu has good talent and has become famous in his studies. Seeing Li Xian and Lu Yuehua looking unhappy, Li Jian looked at the two of them and said regretfully, I remember that Qingyan's martial arts talent is not weak, but it's a pity that she has never stepped into martial arts. If Qingyan abandons literature and martial arts, you should be able to make many friends in the martial arts world. Lu Yuehua gritted her teeth and said coldly, don't act like a good boy just to get an advantage. Li Jian's face straightened and he was about to speak. At this time, Chen Zhen, the master of Bajiquan, is giving old Taijun a copy of Beiji Essence. Please come in quickly. Wang Biao, the king of Dragon City, is giving the old lady Fei blue and white porcelain. Please come in quickly. The sound of communication sounded again at the door. Hearing the word Grand Master, everyone in the audience was shocked. Martial Arts Master? A martial arts master is here. And it's Chen Zhen, the master of Bajiquan. This person is known as the most talented person in Bajiquan in the past century. In addition, Wang Biao, the king of Dragon City, also came. And he came with Grand Master Chen. Wang Biao was able to enjoy both black and white in Longcheng and raised a group of warriors under his command. He also has a wide range of friends and has good relationships with many martial arts masters. These two, even if you ask one of them to move, it will take a lot of face. Li Jian suddenly looked at Li Xian and said in surprise, did you invite me here? He is self-aware, no matter how big his face is, he cannot invite these two people. Li Xian looked confused, I don't know. Just when all the guests were shocked, a group of people came quickly. The two leaders were not Wang Biao, but Ye Lu. Ye Lu is in front, Wang Biao and Grand Master Chen Zhen are in the back. Further behind, there are also a group of martial arts experts. Chapter 71. See the order of Ye Wang Biao and Chen Zhen. The hearts of all the guests were shocked again. What's going on? Wang Biao can't leave the C position, which is excusable. After all, no matter how strong Wang Biao's connections were and how much his reputation in Longcheng was, they could not be greater than a real martial arts master. But, why can't Chen Zhen, the martial arts master, move to the C position? How awesome is this man at the front? He can actually be used as a foil by Grandmaster Chen and Wang Biao. Master Chen. Brother Biao. Grandmaster. All the way. Each guest looked respectful and stood up to greet Wang Biao and Chen Zhen. At the same time, he would quietly look at Ye Lu to see who this person was. It is simply unimaginable that Grandmaster Chen will one day become a green leaf. Amidst respectful greetings, Ye Wuwei led Chen Zhen and Wang Biao to the main table. Ye Lu slightly bent his upper body towards Ye Wuwei and said respectfully, "Boss." These two simple words were like thunder in the ears of all the guests. Li Jian next to him felt as if he had been struck by lightning, and his mind went blank. What? What the hell is going on? This being who is even more awesome than Grandmaster Chen and Wang Biao is actually this guy's younger brother. This. Li Jian's brain immediately shut down. Wang Biao is so awesome, Li Jian is like thunder. The entire Dragon City is filled with legends about Wang Biao. Needless to say, the reputation of Chen Zhen, the 8 Extremes Grandmaster, has already spread throughout Zhangzhou. Even in areas near Zhangzhou, there are legends about Chen Zhen. Two such powerful characters are actually 2 levels lower than this rude guy. What kind of person is Li Qingyan's fiancé? I've met Mr. Yet. Wang Biao and Chen Zhen clasped their fists at the same time and cheered loudly. Wang Biao is the king of martial arts, and Chen Zhen is the master of martial arts. This respectful shout made the beams above shake. The group of martial arts masters behind the 2 men bent down at the same time and were about to shout respectfully. At this time, Ye Wuwei made a move that shut them up. Ye Wuwei raised his hand and said, "Stop. Don't disturb my daughter." Because Wang Biao and Chen Zhen's voices were too loud, Nian was startled and covered her ears with one hand. Before her arm injury fully recovered, Ye Wuwei helped her cover her other ear. Upon hearing Ye Wuwei's words, the group of martial arts masters immediately shut up and just bowed respectfully. Seeing this scene, everyone's hearts were shocked again and again. What a terrifying existence this person is. He can actually make the master bend down and make so many martial arts masters obey his words. All the guests looked at Ye Wuwei in horror, looking at Nian in his arms, and they had suspicions in their hearts. A few years ago, Li Qingyan became pregnant out of wedlock and became the laughingstock of Dragon City. The man who got Li Qingyan pregnant should be this terrifying big shot. For such an awesome being, you can give him 3 children, let alone 1. Those who made fun of Li Qingyan back then were the jokes themselves. For Li Qingyan to become such a woman, it is not only her personal honor, but also the honor of the entire Li family. All guests were aware of a situation, when one person attains enlightenment, chickens and dogs ascend to heaven. The Li family is really going to rise. Being able to be involved with this kind of existence is really a virtue accumulated by the ancestors of the Li family. Li Qingyan felt that the way the guests looked at her changed. Before, it was a look of fun. Now, these eyes have all turned into envy, a strong and uncontrollable color of envy. At the same time, there was also a sense of respect. Li Xian and Lu Yuehua, who were also shocked, also felt that the eyes of the guests had changed. It was a kind of respect that I had never experienced before. Li Jian looked at Ye Wuwei and gradually recovered from the shock. He swallowed quietly and said in a trembling voice, "Chen. Grandmaster Chen, Mr. Wang, please sit down quickly." Li Jian was secretly grateful. Fortunately, Hu reminded him in time and did not conflict with Ye Wuwei. Otherwise, he will make a fool of himself today. After hearing Li Jian's words, Wang Biao and Chen Zhen remained motionless. Li Xian quickly stood up and said excitedly, Hurry up and enter the main table." Wang Biao smiled politely and said, "Mr. Li, there are so many of us so we won't sit at the main table." In the past, Wang Biao would not have even looked at Li Xian. But things are different now. As the father-in-law of the Zhu Temple, Li Xian's status has risen sharply. After that, Wang Biao made an invitation gesture to Chen Zhen and led a group of martial arts masters to sit down at an empty table in the back. Ye Lu originally wanted to sit at the back, but Ye Wuwei stopped him with his eyes and motioned for him to sit at the main table. His brother is naturally different from others. Ye Lu sat next to Ye Wuwei and whispered, "Boss, it's basically cleaned up." Hearing this, Ye Wuwei nodded slightly. In the past 2 days, Ye Lu has been leading Wang Biao and Chen Zhenqing to suppress the remnants of the underground forces in Longcheng. Now they are basically all killed. Chen Zhen has obtained the qualification to join the Temple of Death. However, Zushan Temple is still reviewing Chen Zhen's background. Once the review is passed, Chen Zhen will officially join the Temple of Death. As soon as Wang Biao and Chen Zhen sat down, many guests quickly gathered around to say hello. These guests were smiling and respectful. Even Chu Quanquo, the owner of the Shanshan Martial Arts School, brought a group of warriors to pay homage to Chen Zhen. This is a long-established martial arts master, the pinnacle in the minds of warriors. If he just added a few words, he might be able to clear up the clouds and reveal the sun. This is an excellent opportunity that no martial arts practitioner would want to miss. Seeing this scene, Li Jian felt sour inside. At first, he had no guests at Yin Yang Li Qingyan's house. What's the result? They are a group of real big guys when they come here. There is no comparison between the guests I invited and these people. Kui family from the capital of the gods, I would like to give the old lady a 1000-year-old Ganodermalus item, a Tian Shan snow lotus, and a top-grade sandalwood cane. I wish the old lady a prosperous sun and moon, and a long spring for the cranes and pines. At this time, another voice came over. The 4 words Kui family of the divine capital directly made everyone's breath stop. The Kui family in the capital of God? That is the leading ancient family in the entire central territory of Great Xia. The Zhao family, a wealthy family in Zhangzhou that once dominated Zhangzhou, was even inferior to the Kui family in the divine capital during its heyday. This is a truly aristocratic family with profound heritage and orderly inheritance. As expected of the Kui family in the capital city, they are so generous when they make a move. Just crush the previous gift. Many people turned their attention to Li Jian, their eyes flashing. Li Jian has been working in Chengdu. Is he doing well in Chengdu? Even the Kui family of the divine capital was invited. However, Li Jian was also confused. In front of the Kui family in Chengdu, he is not even a shit, so how can he have such a big face to invite Kui family in Chengdu? Ye Wuwei's eyes flashed coldly when he heard that the Kui family from the capital of God had arrived. On the list given to him by the 4th seat, several people were from the Kui family in the divine capital. The secret language of the 4th seat says, if the aristocratic family is not eliminated, Daxia will be in danger. Isn't the Kui family in the capital of God a noble family? Chapter 72. Under the gaze of one after another, a group of people walked in. The leader is an arrogant young man. This man's chin was slightly raised, he was taking a square step, and he had an indescribable sense of nobility. He looked around, always looking at everyone with a condescending look. It seems that there is no one in this small Li family who is worthy of him to look at him seriously. Being able to come here is already a great gift to the Li family. Seeing this arrogant young man, many people sighed. This is the son of aristocratic family. Behind the young man were 2 old men, a man and a woman. Although their hair was grey, their eyes were electric and extremely sharp. The 2 men's gazes swept over everyone, and many of them felt their hairs stand on end. Master. These 2 are definitely masters. Even Chu Quanquo, the owner of Shanshan Martial Arts School, was shocked after looking at the old man. Behind the 2 old men were Li Tianming, Li Rumen, Wei Dong, and others. It seems that with the Kui family in the divine capital as their backer, Li Tianming, Li Rumen, and Wei Dong all had a condescending smile on their faces. It feels like everyone is a country boy. They finally figured out how the fox pretended to be the tiger's power. Seeing that everyone in the audience was looking at them with shock in their eyes, Li Rumen and Li Tianming felt very satisfied. What if we were kicked out of the Li family? Now he's back with an even more awesome attitude. Seeing Li Jian standing there blankly, Li Tianming said loudly, "Third brother, don't be stupid. This is Mr. Kui Ming from the Kui family in the capital city. Please invite Mr. Kui to take a seat." Li Jian came back to his senses, quickly turned aside, raised his arm, and said excitedly, "Master Kui, please." However, when he saw that there were only 2 empty seats at the main table, Li Jian suddenly had a problem. The main table in his row was filled with distinguished guests whom he personally invited. You can't just drive people away. With so many people watching, Li Jianxi couldn't do such a thing. Li Jian quickly looked at the old housekeeper of the Li family and said urgently, Uncle Chen, make arrangements quickly and open a table for Mr. Kui and the others. Originally there were 4 rows of tables, with the main table at the front of each row, all in the same row. If you open a single table, it is impossible to arrange it at the back. You can only place a table at the front. In this way, it seemed too special and compared with the guests at other tables. Guests at other tables will certainly complain. But the matter has come to this, Li Jian can no longer care about this. The distinguished guests of the Kui family in the divine capital were more important than the other guests put together. Soon, Kui Ming and his party came to the hall. While waiting for the table to be set, Li Rumen glanced at Ye Wuwei and Li Qingyan coldly, with a sneer on her lips. With people from the Kui family in the divine capital coming to help, the head of the Li family must be Brother Hu. When Brother Hu becomes the head of the Li family, the first thing he will do is to ask him to drive you out of the Li family. He was expelled from the family twice. Looking at the whole of Daxia, there are not many of them. By then, it will no longer be the laughing stock of Longcheng, but the laughing stock of the entire Great Xia. Soon, a separate table was set. Kui Ming sat proudly on the main seat, feeling like he was doing his part. From the moment he walked in until now, Kui Ming didn't say a word and kept his posture very high. As soon as he sat down, Li Jian took Li Hu to Kui Ming to say hello. Li Hu's promotion to a 1-star general in the Central Region War Department is very good. However, the Kui clan in the Divine Capital has several generals in the Daxia War Department, and some of them hold high positions in the Daxia War Department. In comparison, Li Hu, a 1-star general, seemed less impressive. Seeing Li Jian nodding and bowing, many guests were envious and a little scornful, with very complicated thoughts. Just when Li Jian was busy building relationships, Kui Ming ignored him. There was some sudden commotion on the other side of the gate. A servant quickly ran into the hall, panting heavily and saying urgently, Second Master, Third Master, you, hurry up to the door and greet the guests. Always, always. Seeing the servant's anxious look, Li Jian frowned and scolded, What's the boss? Didn't you see that I was entertaining distinguished guests? The servant took a deep breath and said excitedly, The governor is here. Governor? As soon as these words came out, the whole place was in an uproar. There is only one governor in Zhangzhou, and that is the governor of Zhangzhou, Lu Pianan. That person is the one who can dominate the sky in Zhangzhou. His words are Jiangzhou's policy. In ancient times, people of this level were the feudal officials of the imperial court. That is a supreme figure who holds the power of heaven and is above tens of millions of people. If Wang Biao is the local snake in Dragon City, then Lu Pianan is the real dragon in Zhangzhou. Someone previously jokingly called Zhao Wuji, the head of the Zhao family, the king of Zhangzhou. And with the power in Lu Pianan's hands, he is the de facto king of Zhangzhou. This kind of existence has now come to the Li family. In an instant, the hearts of countless people were beating wildly. Li Jian and Li Xian were so excited that their bodies were trembling. The fact that the governor of Zhangzhou came to the Li family was a great honor to the Li family. Quick, 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 go out and greet the guests. Let's go. Li Jian and Li Xian were so excited that they ran towards the gate quickly. Many people were ready to move and wanted to go over to welcome the guests, but they were afraid of upsetting Lu Pianan and did not dare to act rashly. Kui Ming, who had always kept his eyes high, lowered his arrogance at this moment and asked Li Rumen and Wei Dong in a low voice, asking if there was any connection between the Li family and Zhangzhou governor Lu Pianan. Although the Kui family in the divine capital had a strong network of connections, they were very influential throughout Daxia. But facing the governor of a state, he did not dare to offend easily. The tentacles of the Kui family in the divine capital did not reach Zhangzhou. If you want to do things within the boundaries of Zhangzhou, you must have a good relationship with Lu Pianan, the real dragon of Zhangzhou. Ye Wuwei's table. Lu Yuehua was so excited that her body trembled and she said in a trembling voice, General, the governor is actually here. Fearless, the governor will come later, you have to pay attention to your words and deeds. That's a being who will cause a huge earthquake in Zhangzhou if he stomps his feet. Don't mess with him. In Lu Yuehua's heart, Ye Wuwei likes to be straightforward. It's easy to offend people. Hearing this, Ye Wuwei smiled slightly and said, Auntie, don't be so nervous. I know Lu Pianan. He is quite easygoing and not that scary. As soon as these words came out, many people around looked shocked. Governor Liu is easygoing. He is famous for his iron-fisted methods. He works resolutely and pays attention to efficiency. Once he fails to do something well, he will get angry. Li Rumen was not far from Ye Wuwei, so he naturally heard these words. Puff! Li Rumen laughed out loud and sneered, Governor Liu is easygoing. Don't brag if you haven't seen it before. Looking at Zhangzhou, how many people would think Governor Liu is easygoing? Lu Yuehua hurriedly waved her hand to Ye Wuwei and whispered, Stop talking, be sure to keep your mouth shut later. Ye Wuwei smiled and shook his head, saying nothing more. Soon, footsteps sounded. Li Jian and Li Xian walked in surrounded by a serious-looking middle-aged man. This man has deep eyes, extraordinary bearing and an indescribable majesty all over his body. He is Liu Pianan, the governor of Zhangzhou. Li Jian said enthusiastically, Governor Liu, please take a seat at the main table. Master Kui Ming from the Kui family in the divine capital is also at that table. Upon hearing this, Kui Ming stood up with everyone at his table to show respect. There was a warm smile on his face. However, Liu Pianan walked straight and stopped when he reached Ye Wuwei's table. Chapter 73. Liu Pianan's footsteps just stopped. People at several tables around him stood up immediately. Only Ye Wuwei and Ye Liasi were sitting calmly. Governor Liu. Governor. Big bosses from various industries greeted Liu Pianan respectfully. The people who dared to say hello at this time were all people who had met Liu Pianan, and were all influential figures in Longcheng and even Zhangzhou. For example, Ma Fiyang, such as Wang Biao. Others who were not qualified to speak looked at Liu Pianan with reverence. Although Liu Pianan was tough, he did do a lot for Zhangzhou. The whole Zhangzhou is visible to all. The Zhao family, once a wealthy family in Zhangzhou, sucked the blood of the entire Zhangzhou. One family is rich, but thousands of families are poor. After Liu Pianan became the governor of Zhangzhou, he launched various policies to boost Zhangzhou's economy and took a lot of food from the Zhao family. Therefore, people in Zhangzhou generally have a respectful and fearful attitude towards Liu Pianan. Governor Liu, where is the main table? Seeing Liu Pianan stop, Li Jian quickly pointed to the table where Kui Ming was, giving a timely reminder. However, Liu Pianan ignored Li Jian. He slowly turned around and looked at Ye Wuwei. Seeing this scene, Li Xian, Lu Yuehua and others were all excited. It's over. Could it be that Governor Liu was offended because Ye Wuwei didn't stand up? Li Rumen, Wei Dong, Li Tianming and others showed expressions of gloating. Good, good. Everyone else stood up, but you and your little friend were the ones who sat down steadily. Crazy dogs will have shit, and crazy people will have disaster. Make you crazy. Now you have something to look at. But the smiles on Li Rumen and others' faces froze before they lasted long. Because a smile slowly appeared on Liu Pianan's serious face. What the hell is this? Why is Governor Liu laughing? The other guests also looked surprised and didn't know what was going on. Isn't it true that the governor is always serious about his speech? In the eyes of astonishment, Liu Pianan took a step forward, stretched out his hand towards Ye Wuwei, and said with a smile, Mr. Ye, you are doing well lately. Seeing the smile on Liu Pianan's face, Ye Wuwei gave him a favor, stretched out his hand to shake his hand, and said, It's not bad. Sit anywhere you want. Okay. Liu Pianan smiled heartily and immediately sat down next to Ye Lu. Seeing this scene, all the guests turned to stone. What a big trough. He. Governor Liu actually took the initiative to shake hands with him and smiled all over his face. What kind of awesome person does this have to be treated like this? Governor Liu is the real dragon of Zhangzhou. In this 3/3 of an acre of land in Zhangzhou, he is the biggest official and the most awesome person. All local snakes and underground emperors must bow their heads before him. However, the man Li Qingyan was looking for could actually make Governor Liu take the initiative to shake hands. Grass. Isn't this really a dream? Young Master Kui Ming of the Kui family in the divine capital was still standing there, and Governor Liu ignored him. This guy looks young, could he be the top young man in the imperial capital? Only a young master who came from the center of power like the imperial capital could be treated like this by Governor Liu. Did Li Qingyan save the galaxy in his previous life? The guests were shocked and looked at Ye Wuwei and Liu Pianan in shock. Lu Yuehua and Li Qingyan, who were the closest, were even more upset. Especially Lu Yuehua's heart was hit the hardest, and his soul was trembling. In her eyes, Lu Pianon was an unattainable top figure standing in the clouds. It was impossible for her to have any intersection with Lu Pianon in her whole life. But at this moment, a figure like Governor Lu actually sat at the same table with her. Moreover, she smiled at her prospective son-in-law. This is an honor that not many people can get. It turns out that what Wu Wei just said is true, and he really knows Governor Lu. Governor Lu's attitude towards him was not only easygoing, but also full of smiles. Lu Yuehua was shocked and her mind was in chaos. Everyone, please stop standing and sit down. Don't be formal. Mr. Ye and I met once and we had a great conversation. Today I am attending this birthday banquet as a friend. Seeing many people standing, Lu Pianon asked everyone to sit down. Hearing this, everyone who was shocked came back to their senses. Lu Yuehua came to her senses and glanced sideways at Li Rumen and Li Tianming. She could clearly see the gloating smiles of the father and daughter just now. Can you still laugh now? Feeling Lu Yuehua's gaze, Li Rumen and others looked embarrassed. They couldn't even imagine that Ye Wuwei really knew Lu Pianon. After the shock in their hearts, Li Rumen and others felt a little scared and also very worried. Ye Wuwei knows such a big person, who can suppress him? Li Rumen and others invited Kui Ming over because they were afraid that something unexpected might happen and would cause trouble for Li Hu. With Kui's connections in Chengdu, it was clear who should take over the Li family. But now something unexpected happened. Lu Pianon is here. It was also made clear that he was here for Ye Wuwei's sake. Who will take over as the head of the Li family is once again confusing. I heard before that the old lady had the idea of letting Li Qingyan take over the Li family. Now that Lu Pianon is here, her idea is probably more determined. Governor Lu, my name is Kui Ming, I come from the capital of the gods. I just arrived in Dragon City today. I thought I would visit you after attending the birthday banquet, but I didn't expect to see you here. Kui Ming changed his previous arrogant attitude and took the initiative to walk to Lu Pianon to say hello. Kui will participate in the auction of the Zhao family's assets next, and must establish a good relationship with Lu Pianon. Lu Pianon smiled lightly. It turns out that he is a distinguished guest from the capital of gods. I know Kui Wuhen, the leader of the Kui clan. Please send my regards to him. Kui Ming smiled and said, it turns out that Governor Lu knows my father. My father also often mentioned Governor Lu to me. As soon as these words came out, many people's expressions changed slightly. This Kui Ming is actually the legitimate son of the Kui family in the divine capital. Lu Pianon was also a little surprised, but he didn't care and made a few casual remarks. Kui Wuhen still has some weight. Kui Wuhen's son is just like that. After a few brief exchanges, Kui Ming had no choice but to return to his original position when he saw that Lu Pianon did not invite him to sit down. When leaving, Kui Ming took a deep look at Ye Wuwei. He always felt that he had seen Ye Wuwei somewhere, but he couldn't remember it for a while. Ye Wuwei also stared at Kui Ming's back, feeling a little familiar. Suddenly, a flash of inspiration flashed in his mind. He had seen Kui Ming 6 years ago on the night when the city of God was besieged and massacred. But one thing is for sure. Kui Ming is not one of the killers. Could it be that the Kui family in the divine capital was also involved in the siege back then? Thinking of this, Ye Wuwei curled up into a sinister smile. Things get interesting. The debts owed back then should be settled. Chapter 74. There were many people who surrounded and killed Ye Wuwei. Judging from their martial arts skills and costumes, there should be several forces acting together. If Kui from the divine capital is involved, he should be just one of the forces. Since we want to settle accounts, we must find out all the forces involved and eradicate them. Ye Wuwei originally wanted to settle the scores after marrying Li Qingyan in Longcheng. But the appearance of Kui Ming changed Ye Wuwei's mind. Now that the clues from that year have been delivered to your door, let's start taking action. Save some time and send them on their way as soon as possible. Thinking of this, Ye Wuwei took out his mobile phone and sent a message to Ye Yi. Let Ye Yi follow the 2 clues to find out what happened back then. One clue is the Kui family in the divine capital. One clue is the brother who stabbed him in the back. A 2-pronged approach was used to wipe out all the forces that participated in the siege. The old lady is out. I wish the old lady to be as blessed as the East Daxia Sea and live as long as the southern mountains. The old lady looks pretty good. At this time, the hall suddenly became a little noisy. Ye Wuwei looked sideways and saw Zhang Chunlin walking out with a cane. Zhang Chunlin's complexion looks much better, her face is glowing red. Thank you. Thank you all for coming here despite your busy schedule. Zhang Chunlin came over while thanking everyone. Li Jian and Li Xian quickly stepped forward to help and accompany him. Li Jian originally wanted Zhang Chunlin to sit at the table with Kui Ming and others. Li Hu also sat at that table. However, Zhang Chunlin walked straight towards Ye Wuwei and others. Governor Lu, you are a very busy man and you are here in person. I asked someone to bring me a message. The old woman was very happy. Zhang Chunlin was flattered by Lu Pianan's support. After the Li family's defeat, it had been a long time since such a big figure came to visit. Lu Pianan smiled and said, "Old madam, how can you just say something casually? Only when I see you in good health can I rest assured." Lu Pianan said it very politely. Zhang Chunlin felt very happy, smiled from ear to ear, and sat down next to Lu Pianan. This is the real dragon of Zhangzhou. If the Li family can establish a good relationship with him, it is no longer a dream for the Li family in Longchang to regain its glory. Then, Zhang Chunlin's eyes moved to Ye Wuwei and Li Qingyan. She had already heard from the old housekeeper that Lu Pianan was here just to give Ye Wuwei face. Ma Fei Yang, Wang Biao, Beiji Grandmaster Chen Zhen, and even the governor of Zhangzhou. Although Zhang Chunlin had not come out before, people had been reporting to her on the situation in the hall. This prospective grandson-in-law really gave her too many surprises. Qingyan, this girl, has finally come to the end of her hardships. Qingyan, how are you doing at the group? Zhang Chunlin asked with concern. Very good. Li Qingyan glanced sideways at Ye Wuwei and said with a smile, all the previous debts have been collected, the funding gap has been filled, and normal operations have resumed. It's just that there are still some problems in business. Because of the previous impact, I am still looking for business. Zhang Chunlin nodded and said happily, that's good. These arrears have never been recovered before. You were able to collect the arrears soon after taking over and put the group on the right track. It seems that my vision is not bad. There is no need to rush in business, just take it one step at a time and take your time. Li Qingyan's glance made Zhang Chunlin understand a lot of things. It was obvious that Ye Wuwei had done a lot to collect the debt. Seeing the old lady praising her daughter in public, Lu Yuehua smiled broadly and gave Li Tianming a meaningful look not far away. Li Tianming's face turned red and he lowered his head in shame. People who owe money are not easy to mess with, and there is really nothing he can do. Ms. Li, our company happens to have a project that is more suitable for the Li Group. Ms. Li, I have cooperated with the Li Group before, and the connection is very convenient. Now I have several projects on hand that I can cooperate with the Li Group. Ms. Li, I also have a project here and am looking for partners. When the business guests heard that the Li Group was looking for business, they spoke one after another. This is a good opportunity to establish a relationship with Li Qingyan, so naturally you can't miss it. Anyone with a discerning eye can see that Li Qingyan's fiancé is extraordinary. The people I have made friends with are all top figures in the business, martial arts, and political circles. This network of connections is incredible. If she could have a relationship with Li Qingyan, it would be like having a relationship with her fiancé in disguise. Hearing this, Li Qingyan stood up and thanked everyone, but declined everyone's kindness. The focus of tonight is the birthday banquet. Let's talk about cooperation after the birthday banquet. Li Qingyan's generous and courteous performance without stage fright made many people nod secretly. This girl can do it. Afterwards, the banquet got down to business. One after another delicious dishes were served on the table, and the banquet officially began. One after another, important figures from Dragon City came over to toast Zhang Chunlin, and birthday messages came one after another. Zhang Chunlin laughed heartily. She had not been so happy for a long time. Wait until the wine has passed 3 rounds and the dishes have passed the 5 flavors. Li Jian, whose face was red from drinking, came to Zhang Chunlei with a wine glass and said, Mom, I haven't been with you all year round, and I often blame myself for not being able to share your worries. It's not easy for you to pull the Li family to this day. Thank you for your hard work. After saying that, Li Jian raised his head and drank the wine in the glass in one gulp. Zhang Chunlin said with a smile, as long as you have this filial piety. Hearing this, Li Jian poured himself another glass of wine and said, You are already old. I have always been worried when I see you working so hard. From now on, let other people handle all matters at home. Just enjoy your old age and enjoy the happiness of your family. As soon as these words came out, the eyes of all the guests moved. The main event is here. The position of the head of the Li family has been vacant, and it is time to determine the candidate. Li Jian looked like his face was red from drinking, but in fact his heart was like a mirror. He had just received a reminder from Li Hu that people from the Zhangzhou War Department were coming soon. As soon as the documents for promotion to a one-star general arrived, my mother, who had been hesitant, should make a decision. Zhang Chunlin didn't know what Li Jian's words meant. She frowned slightly and said, if a family wants to develop, it must choose a suitable leader. Your eldest brother and your second brother are indecisive and neither of them are suitable. Although you are smart, you lack stability and are not suitable. I can't do it without working hard. Li Jian sighed with a look on his face, it's because we failed to live up to expectations. However, you have watched Hu grow up. He is young and strong, and he is steady and reliable in his work. You can give him a try. Moreover, he is about to be promoted to a one-star general in the Central Region War Department, and he will definitely be able to lead our Li family to rise. Zhang Chunlin glanced at Li Hu, then at Li Qingyan, and fell silent. Although Li Hu is better than the three brothers Li Jian, he still lacks a certain magnanimity. Normally, I'm fine, but when something big happens, I'll panic and lose my composure. In comparison, Li Qingyan is more suitable. However, Li Qingyan is a girl. The position of head of the family has always been passed down from male to female, which made Zhang Chunlin very embarrassed. At this moment, a servant came quickly and said excitedly, a motorcade from the War Department came outside, bringing a plaque and a military band. It seemed that they were here to deliver something. Hearing this, people's curiosity was instantly aroused. The War Department's convoy? Li Hu and Li Jian looked at each other, their eyes flashing. Coming. Chapter 75. Did you see clearly what was written on that plaque? Although he knew it well, Li Jian still pretended not to know. The servant shook his head vigorously, the plaque is covered with red cloth, so you can't see what's written on it. Hearing this, a guest looked at Li Jian and Li Hu excitedly and said excitedly, is there any need to guess? The people who came are from the War Department. They brought a plaque and a military band. They must be sending good news. In recent times, the only person in Dragon City who can send good news to the War Department is your son. I'm sure that the good news sent by the War Department is the news that your son has been successfully promoted to a one-star general. As soon as these words came out, the eyes of all the guests lit up. Before this, the fact that Li Hu was about to be promoted to a one-star general in the Central Region War Department was just a rumor. As for how true it is, no one knows. Now everyone from the War Department has come to the door of Li's house. Doesn't this confirm that the rumors are true? Besides Li Hu, who else can have good news? Congratulations to Brother Li, congratulations to Brother Li, a tiger father has no dog son. The Li family has a general. The rise of the Li family is unstoppable. It is only a matter of time before it becomes a second-rate family in Dragon City. If you want wealth and honor, don't forget each other. When Brother Li gets rich, don't forget to give him a hand. This kid, Hu Ziyi, has been smart since he was a child, and now he is really promising. A series of cheers penetrated into Li Jian's ears from all directions. Looking at the enthusiastic smiling faces and listening to the polite compliments, Li Jian felt comfortable. Among these people, there are also some people that Li Jian once could not reach. This made Li Jian feel even more comfortable, as if he were in the clouds. The corner of Li Hu's mouth also evoked a proud smile. The attitude of these people made him very useful. However, Li Hu relied on his identity and did not behave as obviously as Li Jian. In this sea of adulation, Li Jian felt a little carried away. He looked around and laughed. To be honest, Hu's promotion to a one-star general will indeed be finalized in the next few days. I won't be polite anymore. The War Department's convoy outside is most likely delivering documents to my son. As soon as these words came out, the smiles on the faces of the guests became even more enthusiastic. Brother Li, you've kept it secret so well. No matter how I asked you before, you didn't reveal anything about it. Ha ha ha, I will have to punish myself with 3 drinks later. Stop talking, go out and take a look. I can't wait. After hearing Li Jian's words, the guests believed that this was the good news that Li Hu was promoted to a one-star general. Li Jian looked at Zhang Chunlin with a smile and said, Mom, let's go out together to witness this glorious moment. Huer's promotion to a 1-star general is also due to your contribution. Li Hu nodded and agreed, Grandma, let's go and see it together. Zhang Chunlin was naturally happy when her grandson was promoted to a 1-star general. She nodded with a smile, stood up slowly, and said, Okay, let's go take a look together. Seeing this, all the guests praised Zhang Chunlin again, the old lady has taught me well, so it is reasonable for the Li family to produce a general. The old lady has been strategizing all these years, which is why the Li family is so prosperous. In terms of education, we still have to learn more from the old lady. When a person is proud, he is surrounded by good people and the words in his ears are beautiful. At this time, another servant came quickly and said excitedly, Third Master, go out and take a look. Commander Hu, the commander-in-chief of the Zhangzhou War Department, actually came in person. As soon as these words came out, the whole place was boiling. Brother Li, you just said it was 9 out of 10, but now it's 10%. Commander Hu actually came in person. Apart from the good news that my son has been promoted to a 1-star general, I really can't think of anyone else that Commander Hu can send out in person. We have a general in Dragon City, so it is reasonable for Commander Hu to personally dispatch him. Quick, quick, go out and take a look. Don't keep Commander Hu waiting. Many guests turned red with excitement and urged Li Jian. Li Jian was also excited. Hu Dianchen, the commander-in-chief of the Zhangzhou War Department, has the power to mobilize all military forces in Zhangzhou. Moreover, Hu Dianchen is still a 6-star general, several levels higher than Li Hu. It is an honor for the entire Li family that Commander Hu comes here in person. Li Jian glanced at Ye Wuwei and Li Qingyan proudly, and the smile on his face became brighter. Zhang Chunlin was excited when she heard that Hu Dianchen, the most powerful figure in the Zhangzhou War Department, had arrived, and couldn't help but speed up her pace. A group of people walked out quickly, fearing that Hu Dianchen would have to wait too long. When Li Rumen passed by Li Qingyan, there was a meaningful smile on the corner of her mouth, and she glanced at Li Qingyan lightly. Although he didn't open his mouth, one look was worth many words. At the entire birthday banquet, most people went out. Only Ye Wuwei's table, Ma Fei Yang, Wang Biao and others were as stable as rock. Lu Yuehua looked frequently towards the gate, feeling envious to death. Li Xian, who was standing next to him, said, If you want to take a look, just follow me out and no one will stop you. Lu Yuehua pursed her lips, what's there to see? Wuwei used to be a 9-star general. He is a 1-star general, I don't care to look at him. What? Zhang Shui looked shocked, looked at Ye Wuwei in shock, and exclaimed, Are you a 9-star general? Ye Wuwei nodded slightly and said calmly, It's all a matter of the past. I made some meritorious deeds when I was a soldier, and was awarded the title of 9-star general. But that's already a thing of the past, and there's no need to mention it again. As soon as these words came out, Zhang Shui, Zhang Jinwei, Ma Fei Yang, Wang Biao and others were all trembling. Made some achievements? The promotion of a warrior general is extremely difficult. If you are not strong enough and have enough military merits to support you, it is absolutely impossible to become a 9-star general. The 9-star warrior general is already the limit of the warrior general. That is the dream of many Daxia generals. This is too Versailles. The dignified 9-star general actually spoke so casually. In terms of rank, the 9-star war general is higher than Hu Dianchen, the commander-in-chief of the Zhangzhou War Department. Even Zhangzhou Governor Lu Pianan's expression changed wildly. He never expected that the master of the Temple of Execution had such a strong past in Daxia. No wonder. No wonder the superiors awarded him such a rare medal. At the same time, outside the gate of Li's house, Hu Dianchen, the commander-in-chief of the Zhangzhou War Department, stood upright, like a towering iron tower. Behind him, 2 powerful soldiers in uniform carried a plaque covered by red cloth. Further to the rear, a group of elite Zhangzhou War Department troops lined up in 2 rows with awe-inspiring military majesty. On both sides of the team, the military band members holding musical instruments looked serious. As soon as Li Jian and others came out, their hearts beat wildly when they saw such a big scene. Li Jian straightened his clothes and walked towards Hu Dianchen excitedly. As he walked, he stretched out his hand and said in a trembling voice, Hu. Commander Hu, thank you for your hard work. I didn't expect you to come in person. Seeing that he had stretched out his hand, Hu Dianchen shook his hand politely and asked doubtfully, Who are you? Li Jian straightened his body, cleared his throat, and said proudly, I am Li Hu's father. He thought that after reporting his family status, Hu Dianchen would look at him differently. However, Hu Dianchen looked directly past him and towards the people below the gate. Not seeing Ye Wuwei, Hu Dianchen looked away and asked, Ye Wuwei, where is Mr. Ye? Li Jian looked confused and asked in surprise, why are you looking for him? Hu Dianchen pointed to the plaque covered with red cloth and said, tonight, I'm here for him. As soon as these words came out, the whole place was dead silent. A big question mark popped up on everyone's head. Li Jian and Li Hu were filled with questions. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel so you are notified of future uploads. You can find the next parts in the playlist visible on the screen or on my channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.